Boom. And we're live. What happened? You took your hat off? You're getting crazy.
I'm trying to feel, I want to feel at home.
It's that West Coast marijuana, dude. It hits you hard, right?
It does, hard and fast,
Woo,
man.
it's no joke.
Yeah, it's no
These
joke.
These chemists or whatever they are, botanists, these fucking science dorks, they've done a wonderful job.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. It's not even the same thing anymore.
No. It's GMO all the way.
Yeah, it's like, hey, have you guys tested this on people yet?
I know, it's crazy. I'm like, I know you took the seeds out of watermelon, but what the?
Yeah, how the fuck did they do that?
I don't know.
How did that even happen?
I don't know. I just read that Barbara Streisand cloned her dogs. Did you read that?
I heard about that. Jamie told me.
It's like the weirdest thing, dude. She has 2 dogs from one.
That's weird.
She made 2 clones of her favorite dog.
That is like the polar opposite of adopt, don't shop.
Yeah.
It's like you can't get any further.
Yeah.
It costs like $100,000.
Oh my God.
Of course it does. Yeah.
She can't have a different shape. It's impossible. It can't be a different dog. It's impossible.
Yeah. It's a weird move.
So man, if you really believe that personality comes from that, if it's the same thing, like if it just looks the same, or you don't want it to just look the same, do you?
No, it's supposed to be an identical clone of your original dog.
What if it's
so
just
it really kind of would answer.
Really stupid.
But
what if it's your favorite dog,
like
but this time it's
multiplicity?
just shitting all over the place and walking into walls?
We've got bad news. It doesn't have an asshole. Yeah.
It just didn't work all the way. It worked most of the way. It looks like him.
It's like 94% your dog, and then it's missing an asshole.
It's 30% as smart as your last dog, which is pretty good because your last dog was a genius.
Also, there's another dog attached to it that's walking in the different direction. So
they're eventually going to pull each other apart. But for now, you have each other.
Yeah, you got 6 to 8 weeks with these weird 2-headed beasts
for $100,000.
Yeah.
Or you could just go to the pound.
Yeah,
the
for
pound.
free.
I have a story that I do in my act about a pound dog that I had. I had a pound dog that killed one of my dogs.
Wow.
Pound dogs are tricky, man. You get a dog that's been in like a shelter for a long time.
Yeah.
Like sometimes they're in there for months. They come out highly aggressive.
And like my
Some
dog,
of them.
my
Some
dog's a
of them
shelter
don't.
dog, but I got her. I mean, she's 13 now, but when I got her, she was a puppy. And they found she was a stray puppy. She's a little black lab, like just wandering in the Bronx. And they found her, and I got her probably like 3 days after they found her.
What age do you think a dog would have to be? Like, you got to imagine like a certain amount of abuse that a dog suffers early in its life before it gets to the pound has got to really fuck with its head.
Yeah,
right?
I think
there's dogs that you get at the pound. You're essentially like taking on an abused organism. It's
Completely.
It's not just that it doesn't have a home. It's that it might have been in dog fights. Like, I'm pretty sure that mine, either its family was in dog fights or it was in a dog fight. And there's people around you that are probably kicking you and beating you.
Oh, yeah. Or you're tied up for hours at a time. You have no free. I mean, who knows? But I do think dogs can be rehabilitated. But I do think it takes. You have to have look to even have a dog be a good dog, right?
I don't know.
Like I have when I have my puppy. Like I worked with my dog so much, and she's a great dog. Like I could walk in New York City without a leash. She just follows me. She stops.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's amazing.
That's amazing.
But I worked so hard, and then if you add to that, you have to first brainwash them or get them over the anxieties they have. Like there's certain dogs that just hate men because obviously in their former home there was an abusive man in the house, and they react differently to men than women. It's
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. You mean you never know. A dog can't tell you what it's seen.
Nope.
I had one dog that I adopted. She was 2. And she had mange all over her body, and she looked terrible, man. And they caught her eating out of garbage cans in front of this family's house that rescues pit bulls. And I took her in, and like within a month, she had hair on her body. She looked great. She was healthy, sweetest dog with people. But if another dog got too close, she would fuck that dog up.
Yeah.
It was like she was like protecting what she had. It was real hard to have an aggressive like pound dog.
Yeah, and depending on their size.
Dog.
But it is like the thing I would always tell people to try to do first. Because I am a big adopt don't shop guy, and if you go to a dog pound,
you can find some amazing dogs.
And where I got my dog, if you go, which is like Animal Care and Control in New York City, like they euthanize like 100 dogs a day. Like it's literally just like their dogs are coming in all the time.
Dude.
Dogs with stab wounds, dogs they find in the park and then they have 5 days in that pound, and then they're out. So it's like when I was there. This is again like 13 years ago. But when I was getting my dog and I was waiting to pick her up, this woman came in with 2 Rottweilers, beautiful Rottweilers on leashes, and she goes, "I don't want these anymore."
Oh man!
And the lady behind the counter was like, "Well, what do you mean, like that?" You know, and then she was like, "I just can't handle them." And then they like took the leash and she walked out. And then there were just these 2. No, I don't know if they were trained to kill or not. I was going to be like, "Add 2 Rottweilers to my tab." You know?
Yeah, you can't do that.
Who knows? I knew nothing about them, but I'm like, well, in 5 days those dogs are dead because they're like 4-year-old Rottweilers.
I had a Doberman that we adopted as a kid when I was a kid, and it had distemper. And
Which means what?
it's a disease that makes them really aggressive in this crazy way. The dog turned on us.
That's scary.
Oh, dude, it was so scary. I was like, I couldn't have been more than 12. I was like maybe 12, somewhere around then. And this big ass Doberman is like showing its teeth and barking and snapping at us.
Scary.
And out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It was the sweetest dog before. And then all of a sudden it's on the couch, like looking down at us. And we were like, whoa, what is happening here? And so they came and took the dog, I think. Or did we take the dog to the pound? I don't remember what happened, or to the vet rather, and then they ran an examination of the dog, and they're like, this dog has distemper. So we had got it with this weird disease.
And that's like, you can't have that in a house with kids.
I don't know what the fuck they do. Well, I was a kid at the time.
Right.
My parents weren't having it, but I don't remember too much about it. I
they
just
sent him
remember
to a
that
farm,
dog
Joe.
on
They
the
sent him-
couch. I just remember that dog on the couch showing its teeth,
Yeah.
snapping at us.
Scary.
And I was like, oh shit, we brought home a dog, like a full-grown dog
Yep.
that has a disease.
My mom's cousin, so my like second cousin, was married to a dude for a number of years who had this Rottweiler that was like a psychotic dog, and like at one point it jumped through their bay glass windows in their house to try to get the mailman and got caught.
Oh my God.
Between the 2 windows, and it was fine. I mean, it had stitches and they had to pull some glass out of it, but it like didn't impact the dog. That's how, and it dove through a window. It just didn't make it like
get
it would
to a
have.
mailman.
It would have like killed the mail. It was just because somebody was walking up their porch,
Jesus
and the dog
Christ.
just and that same like almost one time, like my grandparents had a house upstate and they were there. Like my brother opened a door and it came at him. It's just like. But some people just like having like a scary dog. I don't know. Like that's not the kind of dog you just want around a kid. It's just
No.
People get killed by
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
it certainly can happen, especially if it's like really aggressive with people like that. Like, Jesus, that's so dangerous. It's
Yeah.
a monster.
Yeah. And they're huge. Rottweilers are like
Big
145
fucking
pound
animal,
dogs.
man. It's
Yeah,
a
they're
big
huge.
animal.
It is.
Those big males, those big fucking frying pan heads.
Yeah,
Those
and they're
giant flat heads.
It's funny too because we're talking about like genetic modifications or cloning, but really dogs, if you look at them historically, that they've been that the whole time. Like man has manipulated what they wanted of certain animals, and like
Yeah.
they've bred the meanest, toughest ones to be guard dogs, and they've bred the cutest, take a piss on a paper mat ones to be lap dogs.
Yeah.
Those are all choices that were made.
By humans.
Yeah, by humans, and over time, by continued breeding of ones that were the same, you end up with like breeds and things. Like man really like played a huge role in the kind of
I
dogs.
think
that are
man
out
did
there.
the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because when they did the genome, when
It's
they
just a
mapped out
wolf.
the DNA, it's a wolf.
Yeah.
Every dog is a wolf.
Yeah, no matter how big the dog is.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
But think about how powerful and terrifying and majestic a wolf is, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's one of the most amazing
Badass
creatures in the
Yeah.
forest.
Couldn't agree more.
And we found just the one that was just slightly bitch ass. Just slightly bitch ass. We're like, come on to the campfire, bro.
Yeah.
Dude, we got free food.
Yeah, and he was like, "Oh, bacon's good."
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Just, hey, man, I don't like your ears poking up like this, dude.
Yeah.
Just relax.
Yeah.
Relax with your ears. I think you're too alert.
Yeah.
Like you're looking to kill
and
me.
then they found a male that was like that too. I'm like, we should make
get
these
them
two
together.
fucking do something here.
They figured out a way to get the bitch ass family that stayed real
Yeah.
close to them to fuck each
And
other.
then she's like, they were like, let's take the 2 smallest ones and make them do. And then
And then they probably
And then you-
invented
all of a sudden-
dog houses, and I bet dog houses changed the game.
You think
as soon as
so?
you put a
'Cause they had
roof
some
over
privacy?
them, they're like, "This is amazing." They're like, "We're in. I don't
Yeah.
have to be a wolf.
Absolutely.
All this extra hair. Let's get
how
rid of
about
this
not
shit."
having to hunt every day? It's like this
Yeah.
is great.
I want white curly hair. I'm a poodle now, motherfucker.
Excuse me, I'd like a perm and
Perm!
yeah,
And the fucking
and a
when
bed
they
with my
shave
name
them
on it,
down
please.
and they make
Yeah.
them like puffy where
Oh
their
my
feet
God.
are.
Yeah.
That's
So
an
funny.
amazingly foo-foo dog, but it's still a dog. That dog will fuck you up.
Yep.
Some of those poodles are ruthless.
Dude,
You
how
gotta
about
be
little
careful around a
chihuahuas,
poodle.
man? Those things will come out, yeah.
Poodles probably have an attitude too. Like no one takes them seriously.
Yeah.
Like if you had, I got a bunch of guard dogs. What do you got? They're 90-pound poodles. Yeah. People just shut the fuck up.
Oh, my
but
God.
that's still a dog.
Yeah,
that
it is.
thing. It would be so funny if that thing that looked like a Barbie toy. Oh my right. It looks like a Barbie toy. It doesn't even look like a real dog. That dog will fuck you up. It'll bite your dick off.
But I have to say, I feel bad when I see dogs have that haircut because, like, they have no part in it. You know what I mean? Like, they're just...
Look at these dogs.
Yeah.
Jamie's showing us a picture of dogs with braids.
Unreal.
Okay, now, seriously.
Like, those dogs are wearing slippers.
Is that cultural appropriation?
A little
How
bit.
does that work?
A little bit.
I feel like it might be.
They're white dogs.
They're stealing from Santa Claus. Look at the colors.
Yeah.
They got Santa's gang colors.
God, people just... You know, like,
What in the fuck is that?
That's not okay.
What in the fuck did they do to this dog? We're looking at a dog. Its
That's
body
abuse.
is a pink snail, and I'm not joking. It looks like a pink snail, like a swirly with hot pink accents. Is that how you'd say it?
Yeah.
Stripes.
And
accents?
its back leg is a flower.
Yeah, it's fucking preposterous.
Spray painted. They spray painted
They spray
the dog.
painted the dog. The dog is dying.
That's
It's chemicals. It has green hair too.
looks like it says the poodles transformed into pandas, horses,
okay, don't do that, you fucks.
and even snails.
You've
It's
seen the
just
ones
so
where
messed up.
they take certain dogs and they make them look like a lion? What dog did they
Like
do
a
that
camel.
with? What the fuck did they do to this dog? They turned a dog
Oh
into
my
a camel.
God.
This is so
It's the
crazy.
same
This
dog.
is so
People are
mean.
such assholes.
This is so mean.
This is the same
This is
dog?
abuse.
Come on.
It says Cindy the poodle right here.
Dude, this
Oh,
is as
the other
bad
one's
as like
Christ.
hitting a dog, in my opinion.
So Cindy the Poodle just is a new look every year, like
Oh,
Madonna
God.
in the 90s.
Oh, Cindy, I'm
right here,
so sorry.
psychedelic snail.
Cindy.
Oh my God, Cindy!
Here's
what
the
kind
panda.
of wacky parents? Oh
No,
my
okay,
God,
that's a different dog.
They turned this dog into a panda.
That's
like
so
they made
messed up.
its hair white and black, and can you imagine coming over someone's house? You see that dog? You got a fucking bear in your house, bro. I'm not into exotic wildlife.
Excuse me, you have a camel and a panda in your front yard?
Hey, dude, I can't pet your bear. I can't pet your bear.
Oh, this
I have
is
a family,
mean, dude.
They turned it into a horse. This is
Steeler.
They turned it into a football player.
Pittsburgh Steeler.
Yeah, for folks who are just listening,
This is
what is the name of
terrible.
this, Jamie? Because we have to tell people about this.
It's a
Poodles transformed into pandas, horses, snails, etc.
It's on the Daily
just
Mail.
Google that and you'll find it.
The Daily Mail link.
I
Oh my
think one
God,
of them
a
they turned into a
buffalo.
bison. Did they put a mask on it? Would they glue a mask to its head?
I don't.
These are monsters. These
Yeah,
people.
these are horrible
What they do
people.
to the dog? They gave him a
The dog-
muzzle.
It's the muzzle, yeah.
They put a
Yeah.
muzzle on it so it looks like a football
To
helmet.
complete that, he could be a football player from the 30s. You know, he had to have one with a face mask.
What, they put a wig on? How'd they do the buffalo? The buffalo doesn't even make sense. Scroll back up again. The rooster. Scroll back up to the buffalo. Where's
Yeah,
its
where's
head?
its nose?
Where's its actual head? Oh, so they put something over its head?
I don't know.
Look at that. It looks like they put a outfit on him. Where's his head?
This seems mean.
This is mean.
It's got like extra ears.
Yeah, they
seems mean.
put a mask on him, it looks like. This is so fucked up.
So
They're
crazy.
Like, how you were a werewolf. No, I'm just a dog, man.
Oh,
Can I just
God,
be a fucking
a
dog?
peacock dog.
Last one.
Oh, the last one they turned into a peacock. They literally glued feathers to its ass.
That is just
Or do
everything
you think it
about
told
this
it
is
to just? It looks like it might be actually just standing there, and they have the feathers propped up against the wall.
Possibly.
Am I seeing that correctly?
But the other stuff is done to it.
I think that's
has
what I'm
wings
seeing.
Yeah, that's
painted
on the
on it.
back of the platform that you can see.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Not nice. I don't like it.
It just seems like you got a dog for the wrong reason.
I
man.
know.
You know, go get a fucking Mr. Potato Head. Don't get a dog. That's a dog. The
Yes,
fuck
you're
are
right.
you doing? How about decorate your house? Don't
So
decorate the
weird, your
goddamn dog.
Yeah, it's just
Christ.
I don't know. People are terrible.
They're
They
gross.
just are.
They're gross.
Just make
But-
so many bad decisions.
But it's interesting, like, like one of the things that was coming out of South Korea during the Olympics was people were talking about in Asian countries the consumption of dogs. It became a big hot point issue with a lot of people.
yeah.
It is weird that we like choose certain animals that it's okay to kill and eat.
I could agree more, man. I think that our food hang-ups are so specific to our country. Like I think
Yeah,
about
but
this all the
it's-
time.
but
Like a
doesn't it
bacon,
disturb
egg,
you?
and, but a
Does-
bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich, right?
Right.
Is fried pig's ass, unfertilized embryo, and mold.
Well, that's not true.
And
No.
mold.
But
What do you mean? Is that what an egg
it's
is?
An
It's an
unfertilized
unfertilized
embryo,
egg.
but
Well,
nothing
yeah,
has to die.
No,
it just
nothing has to die,
pops
but it's an
out,
egg.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's an egg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes you ever crack an egg and there's a little chicken in there? You never had that happen?
I've never
to you?
had that. I've had little extra things in there.
No, I've had like a
Like
little
growths?
almost.
Really?
Yeah, not like a full chicken, but like, oh, that's going to be a chicken.
You know, I was like in my 40s before I knew that an egg couldn't become a chicken. Because I never thought about it. That's how stupid I was.
Yeah, it had to get.
The rooster had to be in the hen house.
Yep.
I didn't know they
Or they just
laid
lay 'em.
eggs
Yeah.
all the time.
Yep.
I didn't know that until I was in my 40s.
Yeah, I don't think I. But you got to be in a farm setting to know that.
But you imagine if you were a farmer, what a fucking asshole you would think somebody is that didn't
they like
know.
ripped you off on your chickens.
No, someone that didn't know. Like
Right.
you didn't know that
Yeah.
that couldn't just become a chicken. Like, no, it's like, that's one of the things where it's like, people that are vegetarians, I urge you to eat eggs. Eat eggs. It's a free ride.
Yeah,
They just
they're
give up
coming
the,
out anyway.
They're coming out.
They're coming out anyway.
If you get it, you can get it from a place just like you can get organic grass-fed beef. You can get pasture-raised chickens. They
Yeah.
do have that. And pasture-raised chicken eggs, the yolks come out dark. You just got to figure out where to get them. They're not as they're more expensive, but they're not as expensive as meat, right?
No.
I mean,
No.
they're really good for
And
you
eggs
too.
last
man.
a surprisingly
Yeah.
long time.
It's a free ride. The chicken
Yeah.
is going to eat all that stuff on the ground, the bugs and all the worms. If you don't want to kill anything, just eat those eggs.
Yeah.
It's good for you.
Very good for you.
They're fucking amazing for you. Goddamn, I'm
a big egg fan.
anti-egg propaganda.
I'm a
Dude,
big egg fan.
love eggs.
Love eggs. Yeah. I could eat eggs every morning.
I do.
Yeah.
I eat them
basically-
almost every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think that it's one of the most karma-free things.
Yeah.
Like, you got to exchange with these animals. Like, I have an exchange. I give the animals food. They eat the food. They lay the eggs. I'm nice to them. I come into their little caged area. They don't run from me. They come around and give them little treats and shit. They're
Yep.
like pets.
Yeah.
They have this really cool life. They get to wander around. Occasionally, they get jacked by coyotes.
Really?
I've had 3
But how much
jacked by
are they?
coyotes.
They're not in a
At
coop.
least 2. One of them, I'm suspicious.
You don't have them in a coop.
Man, it's a fucked up story. I've told it before. I'll briefly tell it again. My Mastiff got honey-dicked by a female coyote.
Oh my god.
And he thought the coyote was his buddy. And he got to... Now, this is... I should say that my gender, like gender identifying with this coyote, I did not have a chance to, like, really closely examine it. I'm just being... It's for the good of the story. This is what I think. This is my theory. Mm-hmm. I think it's a littler coyote, and I really think it was a female. It was hanging around my house for a while, and it talked my dog into knocking down a fence. And he's huge.
Okay.
And when he got through the fence, he got to the chicken coop, and one of the chickens was doing a thing called brooding. And when they brood, they're convinced that if they sit on their egg, that egg is going to turn into a chicken. They're
Okay.
fucking convinced.
They get
just
they
know.
get like a little depressed.
They get nutty.
Yeah.
And what you have to do when they're brooding is you have to take them off of the nest and put them in a cage by themselves with just a perch. So they just sit on the perch for like a day or two, and then
Okay.
it leaves their system. But if you let them lay on it, it'll take like 30 days. It takes so
Okay.
long, then they pluck their
But how
hair.
do
they
you-
pluck their feathers off.
But
and-
so how often are you monitoring your chickens that you're like, oh, we got a brooder, you know?
Oh, it's pretty evident.
It's pretty obvious?
Yeah, you look at them every day. If one of them is in the hen box, like where they lay their eggs, and she's like getting weird when you get near, like they're
Okay.
a little weird with you, and they'll peck at you a little bit, like they're
Yeah.
they don't try to hurt you, but they're like, get the fuck away from me.
They're protecting what they think is.
Yeah, they think there's a baby in
Oh,
there.
man, that's
yeah,
sad.
It is. It
Yeah.
is. But what's the alternative? You got a bunch of cocks in your yard,
Yeah.
just jacking all these poor hens. They're all
just
running
cock
away. And he's
walking
like,
around. Yeah.
I'd be watching chicken rape in my backyard 24/7.
But maybe like once in a
don't-
while, bring a cock in to, give them a weekend. That's
what
all.
we need is bird birth control. I don't want these chickens shitting out kids. I could bring in a couple of roosters.
Yeah.
I'm willing to make a few adjustments. This is what I want. I want sever the rooster's vocal cords. I don't want to hear that shit at 5 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, we know the sun's coming
Yeah,
up, you
yeah.
piece of shit.
Yeah, Siri
Right?
told me. Siri told me.
And that would be one. And then make it so his dick doesn't work. Like his sperm.
You like, what do you call that?
Yeah,
when
give
you-
him a little fix-it job.
Yeah, a little
and just let him
fix-it, snip
bang
him.
it out for pleasure.
Huh. Yeah, that would
And
probably be.
occasionally you'll let one fertile male in, just go in
I think
and wreck house.
I think a
when you need-
rooster without a voice is not going to be. You're going to have a brooding rooster on your hands.
Mm.
That's going to take what the rooster. It's half of its half of its
voice.
identity, man.
Yeah, what
You know?
what a piece of shit I am.
No, I'm just saying, like,
Denying this
So
rooster.
I've seen people who have clipped their dog's vocal cords because their dog barks too much.
I've heard of that before.
I'm like, that's fucking
dark.
crazy, man.
It is annoying when they bark at you, though.
Sure. But it's just, I would say try training
Female
it.
chickens have the weirdest birth control method ever. Ooh,
Did
what
you
is
know
it?
about that?
No, what is it?
But it's got to be a chemical.
Chickens have long known to at time eject sperm after doing the deed.
Wow.
That wasn't well established. What wasn't well established was the underlying reason for what's technically known as seminal evacuation. I like how they give us the technical term because now I understand it better. I would prefer it's technically termed. Just call it shooting jizz.
Yeah. The jizz shot.
But in a recently published paper, a team led by Oxford researcher Rebecca Dean explains that this behavior is, in fact, far from random and that the tendency for females to jettison sperm is actually a finely tuned mechanism of post-copulatory sexual selection.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. That's weird.
Dude.
Well, that'd be a weird thing to see, right? Walk into a chicken
Just
coop
a chicken who's
and a
going to
chicken
deny
just
your sperm.
flirts, shoots a little.
Like, what would be the, evolutionary advantage? Not that you're a biologist, nor am I. We should probably stop there. But
Yeah.
what would be the evolutionary advantage of being able to shoot sperm out?
I don't know. Maybe you don't, like, you get a vibe from
Yeah.
that rooster that he's an asshole.
Yeah, that
you know?
guy, I don't wanna have his
Or I
kids.
wasn't. I wasn't consent. I didn't
Tired
say
of it.
yes to that.
I'm tired of his bullshit.
Yeah. Who knows?
I don't like his crow.
We're like, why did he take me last? You know what I mean? Why did I have to wait for 4 other, chickens?
I wonder if rooster crows are like those. That's what it's called, right? A crow when they're
Yeah, I think so.
I wonder
Yeah,
if
rooster
that
crow.
is like national anthems, and that some people nail it and some people just overdo it.
And some chickens kneel during it.
Like some hens are just like, Jesus Christ, we get it.
Yeah.
You're awake. You're awake. We get it.
Yeah, we got it the first time.
Oh, say, can you see?
Yeah, maybe that's the determining factor. And if they
early light. When you're like, nah,
Yeah, well,
it's
that's
not
what-
supposed to be that long. It's a shorter song than you're doing. You're doing a totally different song.
and you're doing that thing with your voice that
Yeah, you're doing that
Simon
Whitney
Cowell
Houston
would tell
thing.
you not to do.
Yeah, they love that
100% of the time.
I wish I could do that thing.
Yeah, when
I'm
I lived in
jealous.
the East Village in New York City, back in like the year 2000, 1999, it hadn't really been like a neighborhood that was gentrified or whatever you want to call it at the time, and there was a lot of roosters in the neighborhood, like these parking lots. They had these like empty lots where there were no buildings, and people just had chickens and roosters outside. So I was like, I don't know, 22 years old, sleeping in my apartment in the West Village, and the East Village rather. And every morning I'd wake up to a rooster crowing, like every morning. And then after a while, the community started hanging these signs, like, "Are you sick of the roosters?" Like, and then I was like, "Oh, they're turning on the dudes who own the roosters."
Dude.
Yeah, which was just not cool because it was like those guys had lived there a long time and had roosters, So
There's something,
and then
like,
there was
you
like
have to agree to
petitions,
that.
petitions
To get rid of the roosters?
petitions, yeah, all these rooster petitions, and then over like maybe a year and a half, 2 years, it was no more roosters.
Wow.
Yeah, one of those like end of an era things in New York City where people still had like just wandering chickens in an empty lot that had like hubcaps in it and chickens.
How come people don't understand how cool that is?
I don't know. It's like this. It's this weird thing that happens in cities where people come in and take all the culture out of it and then complain.
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, what happened to all the culture?" It's like, you removed it. Like you actively came in and removed it.
Well, there isn't
to
a
make it as
problem-
much of a suburban environment so you could have kids in a minivan and all the stuff you would have had in the burbs anyway.
When,
and now,
when you say that, though, isn't it a problem that it's not like one individual that's doing it? It's like a whole movement of economics, right?
it's a movement of economics, but there is a lot, in my opinion, of sort of community activism towards making the community the way they envision it to be. You know?
Right.
So you end up with a lot of signs. It's like, "We're working on a tomato co-op," and you're like, "Well, now it's so now there's a tomato co-op they're working on. I got to get in on that." And then so there's a lot of I'm not saying the things they're doing are bad, but they're definitely there's just been a removal of a lot of that stuff. And look, there's this argument about New York City that people go, oh, it used to be better. You know, it's like, no, like it was really dangerous. You know, like, it's not necessarily better.
Yeah.
But there's an up and down to it.
It's better unless you were the guy that got shot.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's the other part, which is I look at cities like this. It's like you're always building something on top of something else that was already there.
Yeah.
So to us is like, I can't believe that hardware store went out of business. It's like, yeah, well, maybe my grandfather's, I can't believe they're putting a hardware store in where like the horseshoe guy used to be. You know, like it's like, you know, like really the telegraph guy's going out with this is bullshit. You know, like it's probably something people felt. You know, anytime you're somewhere first, you always feel like someone's ruining it.
Yeah, I think we're in a very interesting time, in a lot of amazing ways. And I think we're learning more about people and behavior, I think, than ever before. I think we need to give ourselves a little bit of a break in this, because I think everybody has this feeling like, why haven't we got our shit together? Why haven't we fully evolved? And my take on this is that this is a really recent thing. Like, being aware of what the fuck is going on, just in the general scheme of being in the universe, is a very recent thing.
Yep.
And what we know about life and what we know about, you know, just our own finite life form, how far it's going to be able to be pushed, how long we can stay alive, you know, how easy it is to transfer information from Australia to China to fucking England and back and forth and back and forth. Like, we're in the craziest time ever, and it's all really fucking recent.
Really new. Yeah.
20 plus years.
If that. Because if you go back 20 years ago, the internet existed, but you couldn't like watch video on it.
No.
And to me, the smartphone thing is every day. I'm like, I can't believe I have this thing in my pocket.
It's insane.
Like, it's like if you don't remember what it was like to like, you know, there's this whole like vibe where people are like, millennials don't get it, you know, and I'm like, I don't know, I have the same attention span as a millennial because I'm on my phone. Like, there's this joke that adults are better, you know, and I'm like, I don't know. Like, I did a USO tour in Afghanistan a couple of years ago, and I met all those dudes, like the soldiers, men and women over there, and I was like really blown away. I was like really impressed. This idea that like our best days are behind us, all that stuff. And I'm going, I don't know, this is a really impressive group of young people who are like fighting for the country, volunteering to fight for the country, and like coming back here, sometimes wounded, sometimes, you know, all the things that they risk going there. But then like you meet them and you're like, these are like, they're not like jarheads, you know, they're like sophisticated thinkers, and they're like trying to like be a part of something. I found it very like inspiring to be around that. Not like, oh, boy, bunch of losers, you millennial losers. I was like, these dudes seem awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we have a soft life now, so there's gonna be a lot of people that are ridiculous. And, you know,
there's always been those
people that are weak-willed and they want the world to be nerfed up and
of course
pad their feelings. You're going to have that.
Yeah.
But there's also more people that have an understanding of, like, that's not a happy, healthy way to live your life.
No, it's not. And I also think that, like, reality at some point will always supersede nerf padding. You know, there's always going to be a pushback on that where you go, look, like, I don't want to offend anybody. But, like, you know, and I do agree that, like, there's a movement by the left that really does push. You know, I did a thing recently. I'm doing this charity event for, like, an urban program for kids, mainly inner city black kids. And I'm hosting it with my buddy Mike Yard, who's a really funny comic, black dude. And we went to meet with the guys for this charity, and they were telling us that, you know, they have an auction, like at any charity event, right? An auctioneer comes out and they all try to auction off and raise a lot of money from rich people to help the program. That's basically 99.9% of every charity event I've ever been involved in has an auction segment in the dinner.
Right.
They were like, we're going to have that, but we can't use the word auction. I said, what do you mean you can't use the word auction? They're like, it's a sensitive word for, you know, the community. And I was like, and then Yard goes, are you talking about slave auctions? Like his head almost exploded. He was like, God. Wait, we can't. And I was like, wait, we can't say the word auction? I'm like, but aren't you hiring a guy from Sotheby's? Yeah. His card's going to say auctioneer on it. Like,
oh, my God.
We're just going to pretend that's not what he's called. And they were just like, we just don't feel comfortable with that word in the room. And I was just going, I can't. I said, guys, I got to tell you, like, you're making me want to vote for Trump. That's what I said to them. I said, that's how dumb I think this is. I'm like, I'll agree to
my
it because I
God.
want to help these kids, but this is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard.
Wow.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I was like, can I say cotton? Am I allowed to say cotton? Like, what other words can I say? That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. You're going to get triggered.
Auctions.
Yeah.
Auctions.
We're not going to make a joke. Like, we're not going to joke around about, like, auctioning off a black person, although Yard and I probably would have.
But first of all, like when you say auction, you automatically think of that voice, think of that voice, think of that
Totally.
voice, head 101, head 101, head 101. Do you think they did that with when they were doing that with slaves? I do not think they talked like that.
I don't know what their technique was, but I do know when I think of the word auction,
Yeah.
I'm not like, oh, don't say that.
It's a new.
Don't
it's
say
a
the A
different
word.
thing.
Don't say the A word. It's like it's a
It's absolutely accepted. It's a different thing now.
yeah.
It's like the word gay. It used to be Flintstones gay. Have a gay
Yeah, you're right.
old time. Having a gay time was like, we're out having a gay old time.
Yeah.
And then it became gay, and then you had to stop saying it that way.
But
you
gay-
can't just go back to gay happy like Flintstones.
No, you can't. But
you
gay,
can't.
for me growing up, was the thing we just said about everything all the
Yeah,
time.
everything's gay.
Doesn't matter. Like, the only thing you couldn't, you
But it
wanted to
wasn't good,
avoid.
though.
No, it was terrible.
But when did gay go bad?
I don't know.
That's a good question.
It went bad after the F word went bad.
Did it?
Yeah. F word
Well,
went first.
was it connecting the two of them? Fucking gay and like, whoa.
No, not fucking. I meant the other word for gay people that they get offended
you're
by.
afraid of saying faggot?
No, I'm not afraid to, but I'm just kind of being sarcastic when I say the F word.
The other F word. It's like the other white meat.
Yeah, exactly. But like that was the, and not that long. And it was this idea of like if something was stupid, it was gay. Like it didn't mean homosexual. It meant like, nah, dude, don't be so gay. But then you start thinking about, oh, I guess it does. I guess it's offensive because you're saying like that stupid shirt you're wearing is gay.
Well, isn't it? Of course, it's that way. But
Yeah.
isn't it weird that gay took a turn for the worst?
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't you have loved to have been at the intersection when gay went bad?
Yeah.
Like, we'll have a gay old time. That's gay.
Yeah.
Like, whoa.
Yeah.
What? What are you saying? Like an intersection
I
of
remember as a
thoughts,
kid,
and the
too.
mean one overran it.
Yeah.
The mean one beat the happy gay.
It did.
Gay took that. They took the word gay and turned it into either a negative, like that's gay, or homosexuality.
Yep.
How was it not connected to homosexuality before?
I don't know. I don't know if the connection came from the fact that like they were like, oh, those guys are gay, you know, like, and they were like being like, because they were being like really, you know, like
They were
they were like seemed really
flamboyant.
happy. They were like
Right.
flamboyant, like, well, that guy's gay, huh? He's really gay. Look how gay he is with that shiny shirt on, you know. Hey, that Liberace sure is gay.
And then maybe someone was like, "I'll show you gay." And next thing you know, people are like, "Hey, we gotta stop."
You know, we should
Stop with that word.
come up with a new word.
Gay's a different thing
Yeah,
now.
because I asked a guy to get gay with me, and it got really uncomfortable.
There had to be like a time in between where it was real confusing, right? Where they hadn't fully established what it meant yet.
Mm-hmm.
Where people were like, "Hey, man, are you gay?" "Yes, I am gay. I'm having a gay old
Yeah.
time." And guy's like, "Good," and then guy tackles him in the bushes.
Yep. Like the word hook up changed.
Yeah.
Like right around like when I was in high school. But like my dad would be like, "Hey, you gonna hook up with your friends tonight?" You know what I mean? And I'd be like, "Dad, don't say that." Dad. You know what I mean? Like that's not what it means anymore. He's like, "What do you mean? It means meet up with your friends." I'm like, "That's not what it means." You know? And they're
Yeah.
like, all my buddies would be in the room like, "Hey, you guys gonna hook up tonight with that?" I'm like, "Don't." And everyone's like, "Dude, your dad's gay." You know? What did I start? Dad, don't be so gay. You know?
That's hilarious.
So funny. Yeah, a lot of language shifts occur, but it does feel like
weird,
right
right?
now there's more policing of it, and there's more people act. I don't know. There's just like there's a lot. Like the word pussy
Yeah.
is one of those where
You can't say pussy anymore?
no people get offended by it, because the
You're
idea
hanging
is like
around
you're
with the wrong people if
Well,
they're getting offended by the word, unless you're overusing it.
No. I'm saying again, what I say or don't say is what I say or don't say, and I take my licks if I have to. But people get offended by it. You know,
Right.
like that's a word now that like if you're in like a hardcore leftist community,
Yeah.
you wouldn't say pussy anymore. But you'll still say dick. That guy's being a dick. It's like, well, that's offensive.
Those communities need a hug.
Yeah.
just do.
I feel like they don't need a hug, actually. I feel like they need like to have too many hugs. You know, and I think there's just too much. I think it really goes back to our lives are easy now. So we have a lot of free time to come up with bullshit.
Yeah.
We do. It's like if we had to actually, we didn't have electricity or we didn't have like all this ease, we wouldn't be, harping on this stuff. It's just like you have a lot of downtime. So you're like, I'll start a blog. I think I'll start blogging about words you shouldn't say.
We have so much surplus that one of our biggest problems is that we eat too much food and we get too big.
Yep.
That's like one of the number one health problems that humans have. Like, this is how much surplus we have.
Yeah.
Even though I know people have it hard and there's people that are starving all over the world, I'm aware. But just in general, especially in America,
Well,
what is like one of our number one problems is people just eat too much
and when we
of the
talk
wrong shit.
about people starving in America, and you think about how much food is wasted and thrown out, and
Anthony Bourdain's doing a documentary on it.
Yeah, it's such a strange concept that there's like no internal desire to, it's like why I get annoyed at the Christian right. They're always like, oh, abortions you're killing babies. What we need to do is have those babies and support young mothers who support young single moms. I'm like, when's the last time you fucking volunteered to support a young single mom who had a baby? Christian dude posting on Twitter. When's the last time you gave a Saturday of your day to take that kid to the zoo? Bullshit. You say it, but they don't fucking do anything about it. You know?
It's a nice little box to put yourself in for some people. They think they're a good person because they're a Christian. But like, how much do you really act on it?
But you're taking your day to stand outside Planned Parenthood with a sign. Why not take the day to go help that kid who didn't get aborted and his mom can't feed him? Why not stop by there instead of holding a sign about the devil in front of a fucking clinic for women? It's just weird.
It is weird. It's a weird thing that you can do it too, right? I mean, that's one of the weird things about people is that we know that if we don't do anything and we take care of ourselves, a baby's coming. And like if you get the first countdown, like it's almost like we agree that there's like levels to the countdown. Yeah. Like in the first couple of days, no one gives a shit. Just pull the plug, bang.
Yeah.
And then everyone's looking at everybody like, you feel okay? What happened?
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal. It's like, how many cells was it? It was only 4 cells at the time. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, 4 cells is not a lot of cells.
No.
And you start thinking, I don't think it really ever can be 4 cells, but you get my point. A tiny little thing. Mm-hmm. And then when do you decide that's a person?
I get, by the way.
When it looks like one?
Listen, I get the argument. And, I do think that I have my own personal philosophy on how I would handle a situation. But I don't.
If you were a woman?
No. I'm saying if I was in a relationship with a woman and she got pregnant and didn't want to have the kid or did want to have the kid and I didn't, at the end of the day, we'd have a conversation together. And if she was dead set on doing it, then we're going to do it, because but my point being, I do believe that like it's a weird thing to just tell other people what they're supposed to do or not. I do. I feel that way about gay marriage. Mm-hmm. I feel that way about everything. It's like it's a strange thing to be able to dictate to someone else how they're supposed to live.
Agreed.
Because there's too many people doing that, man. Like we got the right doing it through the Christian right, and then we got the left doing it through, all their movements. And it's like I think the reason most people are so annoyed in the country isn't like even political. It's like they're just sick of people telling them how to live. It's like I get it. I can't say that. Oh, you want me to not have a gun? You hate guns.
Yeah.
It's like everyone just fucking stop. It's like we need like a national timeout for 5 minutes.
I think we're just learning how to use this thing, man. We're learning how to integrate society into this kind of communication that we share right now. Mm-hmm. It's just we're still figuring it out.
I talk about that with somebody the other day. I was actually just doing a set on stage, and I was riffing a little bit about how we talk about the Second Amendment a lot, and the founding fathers didn't know we were going to have assault rifles. They didn't have the foresight to see that, so we have to rethink what that means. And it's like, well, they didn't know we were going to have Twitter.
Right.
So like maybe we have to rethink what the First Amendment means. They didn't know every fucking moron was going to have the ability to say stuff out loud on a national level.
Just to use the internet. I mean, imagine how easy it was to govern people before the internet came around.
Yeah.
Must have been so much easier.
Yeah, just lie to them.
Yeah, lie to them. They have almost no access to the truth. Mm-hmm. What do you get? We get what Walter Cronkite tells you, bitch. That's all you get.
That's what you get. It's like the entertainment industry. It used to be like, you want to hear a song? Merv Griffin and Dick Clark will let you know what songs you can hear.
But if you were on the side of the people that are anti-abortion, there's one side of you that has to logically interpret that if these people really did feel like babies were being murdered, like it was their perspective that babies were being murdered, if you completely ignore that perspective and just try to say it's a woman's health issue, I almost get where their mind is at. I don't think that they should be interfering in anybody's life, especially when something is legal and people have already voted on it,
fundamentally
like
believe that's what's happening. And you could see how
you
thought babies were being killed up the street, you'd be like, we can't allow this to happen. But what I'm saying
they'll tell you that they are babies.
Yeah.
And the problem with that argument is it holds some water.
Sure.
Like you really have to. I mean, if you're going to be a rational person, and I'm 100% pro-choice, but as a rational person, you have to look at what it actually is. If you don't, well, then we're playing a game. The game is you want your side to be correct. But the reality is, this is a very complicated, weird thing.
Yeah.
There's like a life in your body. And for sure, a guy shouldn't be able to tell a girl what she can do.
Totally agree with that.
You can't tell a woman she has to keep it. People have already aborted babies. There's a precedent for it. You can't tell them what they can do.
All you can do is support their decision.
Or
you can weigh in. I think if you're
offer-
the dad, you can weigh in on what you want. But at the end of the day, she's going to decide what she wants to do. And you just got to agree with it.
Yeah.
I think that's the move.
I think, it's a very complicated thing. Like a life form that will eventually become a person is inside your body. What do you do? Like, you imagine we had to make that decision.
Yeah.
We're lucky that chicks do it because we don't think correctly for that proposition.
We have no ability to weigh those options. But I do think that when I think about that, I agree with you, and I think most issues in the country are like that, and that's the whole problem. There's no rationality on either side, right?
There's no
so it's like no one will
rational center,
right? Like for example, people will, look, there's a lot going on with Trump and Russia and all that stuff.
Wait, what have you heard?
And then people will post something, about Obama scandals, and then someone on the left will be like, he had no scandals, and then someone will list like 5 scandals. You go, yeah, those were scandals. Like you can't just pretend that like that Fast and the Furious thing was good. Like that was bad. Like I'm not.
If you really like muscle cars,
yeah, but it's like no, but that Obama thing where he like
that thing.
where he gave all the guns.
That's right.
They lost all those guns, and
some of them were used to kill people.
Yeah, so it's like I don't know. Like
what was that? What was the logic behind that? They were going to trace them.
Yeah, it's like an Iran-Contra. Did you see that movie?
But
by
was
the way,
it a scam or was it a thing where they were trying to give them guns that they could trace?
They could trace, and then they instantly couldn't trace them, and it just gave a lot of guns. I think that was the gist of it.
Can you imagine if that was just really a gun? I mean, some people do think it was like just an illegal arms sale that happened right under our nose.
Yeah. Well,
can you imagine if that's really what it is?
I mean, did you watch that? I just watched it the other night. That Tom Cruise movie, American Made.
No, I did not, but I know what it's about.
I know the
story.
First good Tom Cruise movie he's had out, I think, in a couple years. Like
really?
Yeah, because he's like kind of a dark character. He's not like a hero. He's just.
I know the Barry Seal story.
Yeah, it's what the story is. So he's a pilot who basically the CIA was like, hey, you're a really good pilot, and we need a guy to like bring some guns to the. It's all the precursor of the Iran-Contra thing, which as a kid I remember hearing all about, but then understanding it at a better level, which was us trying to arm rebels, which we've been doing we armed bin Laden against the Russians. We've been arming rebels for a long time.
Yeah, that's our move, right?
Yeah, big time. And
up the gang.
Yeah, and then so he became the dude the CIA asked to do that, and he was like, you got to pay me more money, and the guy was like, you'll figure it out. And then all of a sudden it became he would land to bring the guns, and the dudes were like, hey, we want you to bring an Escobar and his crew. We're like, Pablo Escobar, we're like, hey, as long as you're bringing us guns, we also want you on your flight home to bring 1,500 pounds of cocaine into your airplane. And then he was like, I'm not going to do that. No, thanks. And they're like, $2,000 a kilo. And he was like, how many kilos in 1,500 pounds? And it became like, he became like this insane two-way smuggler who's smuggling guns in and drugs out, guns in and drugs out. It's a really interesting story.
What do you think happens today? Do you think that stuff like that is still going on today? Or do you think that when it happened, like they figured out that it was a bunch of cowboys, like CIA operatives that were just trying to make some money on the side? Or do you think it's like a systematic?
I think that it's like, I think that it's human error. I think that like people, that's why I'm not like a big conspiracy theorist, because it's like, I don't think the government's organized enough.
Right.
It's always weird to me when people who think the government sucks, who want small government, they want the government. The government mishandles everything. They don't know how to do this. They don't know how to do this. They can't manage traffic lights, whatever they think the government can't do. They can't do healthcare. They're idiots. They're idiots. Private sector. And then they're like, but there's a giant government conspiracy where all the government knows this thing. And I'm like, if they can't fucking manage traffic lights, how are they pulling off like a fake moon landing or whatever? It's like,
well,
that kind of stuff to me, it's like you're perpetuating two very different views of an extremely competent clandestine group of people who can achieve these like dark, shadowy things without anyone knowing, or bumbling morons. But they're the same people. They're government workers. So I don't know. I think some CIA like the story behind going into Iraq is interesting. Like a CIA operative had a theory about where bin, I mean, not Osama, the fucking other dude,
Saddam
Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. He had a theory, and he was a analyst at the CIA, and he wrote up this whole document, and they read it. And they were like, yeah, this is bullshit. Like, we have no proof of any of this. Thank you. And he was so mad they did that he published it on the internet. Just leaked it to the internet. And then that story got on the internet. And then a dude in Australia who was a spy, or like a guy from Australia and another guy from Afghanistan or Iraq read it on the internet, came to America and said, I have all the secrets of what he's doing. And he just used that guy's document that he read online and told the CIA. And then the guy came in and goes, he has weapons here, weapons here, weapons here. And then that analyst goes, holy shit, I was right. Meanwhile, he's quoting his own report. So then he goes back to Cheney and he goes, we've got this dude talking to the Germans saying all the things I theorized. And then that's the guy Curveball. We listened to a dude named Curveball. So like, that's how the whole fucking thing went down. And basically, some dude tricked us. He actually didn't know anything, but it was too late. We like went off the information that a dude read off the internet from a guy who was mad they wouldn't take his info, which was wrong, which is why there were no weapons of mass destruction there.
That is so crazy.
So it's just a crazy. So yeah, I think that shit happens all the time, but I don't think it's. I just think they're sloppy government employees.
Well, I think you're dealing with a bunch of different things. Some of them are sloppy government employees. Some of them are not. Some of them are brilliant. I mean, there's that too.
Like Robert Mueller is brilliant.
There's a ton of them. There's a ton of them that are brilliant. But you're also going to have cowboys, and this is what I think. When you find out about these like CIA drug deals gone bad, did you see that one where the plane crashed in Mexico? They wouldn't let them refuel. They wouldn't let them land to refuel because they kind of knew maybe that they were smuggling drugs.
And they made them crash.
And the plane wound up crashing, and it had, how many tons of cocaine did it have in it? And people are like, this is proof the CIA sells cocaine. I'm like, no, it's proof those guys flying that plane had cocaine.
Right.
The real question is, did they just get too loosey-goosey traveling back and forth to South America, a little too tight with some people that had a little bit too much money, and they realized we could fucking do this, so we could do this and no one would suspect it.
Well, that's the thing, though. So with the CIA...
5.5 tons of cocaine.
Jesus Christ.
5.5 tons.
Wow. That's a lot.
Isn't that 11 pounds? 11, how many thousand pounds? 11,000?
Yeah. 2,000 times 5.5.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
And
11,000 pounds of fucking cocaine.
Dude, I tell you.
It's insane.
But
show the pictures of the crash because it's crazy. There's just giant bricks of coke. Man, I want to say like 2005? 2006.
But the Barry Seal story was he's just a pilot. So
Yes.
a CIA operative who's trying to make connections with do his mission, which is given to him, which is arm these rebels. So 5 guys in the CIA have to try to figure out how to arm rebels. So he approaches this pilot that he hears is a good pilot who flies for TWA.
Yeah.
And he goes, hey, man, you're now in the CIA. But he's not really in the CIA. He's not part of the CIA. He's just a pilot that this guy subcontracts.
Right.
And then he doesn't tell the bosses how he's getting the guns in. So he just made up a little thing. He has his own budget to do his own little thing, and he finds this dude. So it's not like Barry Seal was like a CIA guy flying cocaine. He was just a pilot that the CIA told, and only one guy from the CIA told it to him. And then it's a crazy story, you know, and then he's doing it, and then he starts making his little side business, and this guy looks the other way because he just wants Barry delivering the guns, and then after a while, like as it starts to fall apart, the CIA is just like, burn everything with Barry Seal's name on it. You know, and like we've never had connection to Barry Seal in our entire life, and that's
all the coke that they got off that plane. Look
that's
at that.
nuts, man. That's
That looks like
what size was that plane?
luggage for an army, doesn't it? Like if you had an army troop and like, boys, this is your gear, and it's all rolled up in these giant bags.
Isn't it so funny though that like
That is crazy.
people still think a wall's going to work? It's like how many drugs were coming in on an airplane?
Well, just the fact that the airplane was a CIA airplane. Did they have in the movie? Did they have the reason why they the whole scheme got busted in the first place? Do you know the story?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's like a spoiler for listeners, but I'll tell you.
Well, the real story about the kids that were murdered.
The kids that were murdered where?
That wasn't in the movie?
I don't think so.
One of the ways this whole thing came apart was 2 kids were apparently in the woods when they made a drop. And these kids saw a drop, and they were murdered, and they were stabbed, and then they left their bodies on the train tracks. And their bodies were run over by train tracks, and then the parents got an autopsy. And the autopsy showed that at least one of the kids had been stabbed.
Wow.
And so they realized
skipped that. They
something.
Yeah.
They realized something had happened.
Was it New Orleans where the kids got killed?
No, it was Mena, Arkansas.
Okay. Oh, that's the Mena part of it.
Yeah.
Later on.
That's where the drop was. The drop was apparently in Mena, Arkansas. So they killed these kids, and then this whole thing happened, and then the whole thing fell apart, and then people started looking into it, and then Barry Seals was murdered, actually, as he was heading to court to testify.
Well, he
This is his amazing thriller, like a Tom Clancy novel.
Yeah, it's a really good, and it's done well. The movie's done well, and but they don't mention the murdered kids. They skip, like, Mena, Arkansas is the place where CIA moves them, and then
Well, I hope I'm not remembering this wrong, but I think that was the reason why they got busted.
I could be. I'm saying in the movie that's not mentioned.
See,
but like, you know,
you
that's the
find
creative
that.
license of making a movie. They're like,
Oh man, I hate when they do that.
Yeah.
I hate when they do that when it's a real life situation. Like there's did you ever see that wrestling movie with Steve Carell? What the fuck was that called?
The Wrestler?
No. With Steve Carell and
Steve. Oh, what? He's the DuPont guy.
Yeah, John DuPont.
Oh fuck! What's the name of that movie?
Foxcatcher.
Wow. Never would have gotten that.
Yeah, they did that in that movie.
Where they cut out key details.
Yeah, well, they changed a big part of the ending where Mark Schultz, it's a UFC fight, a famous UFC fight, where Mark Schultz, who was just top of the food chain wrestler, fought this guy Big Daddy Goodrich, who's a really well-known MMA guy, just totally dominated him. Mm-hmm. And in the movie, he's fighting some white guy, like some made-up guy.
They just changed it?
They just changed
Did
the guy.
they maybe not get the rights to the other guy's name or something?
It doesn't matter. Then don't have that scene.
Then just take it out.
I know what the fuck the history of this was. Now, if you lie to me about something so insignificant as who the guy was that he fought in the UFC,
he takes you out of it. Yeah.
What else are you lying about?
Agreed.
It's just so stupid to do. It's a real story.
Did you ever see that movie with Marky Mark and The Rock? I'm being serious. Or should I call him Marky Mark? I think it's Mark Wahlberg and The Rock, and it's like it's based on a true story. It came out like 2-3 years ago. It's really good. And in the middle of the movie, it's one of the coolest things I've ever seen done in a true story movie. They're like doing this absurd thing. They're like jumping off a rooftop together, and it just pauses, and then a text comes up and says, "This all happened. This is still a true story." Like it reminds you in the middle of the movie.
Pain and Gain is what it was called.
Oh, Pain and Gain, yeah.
I was gonna say, that was a fun movie,
Pump
man.
and Dump or something. I knew it was something like that. Is this the part?
This is just the trailer.
Oh, the trailer?
Dude, this is a fun movie.
It's a great movie. Yeah,
It's
underrated.
like one of my favorite movies that he did.
Yeah.
It's a fun-ass movie.
Yep. The Rock's good, man. I like The Rock.
I love The Rock. I
Yeah,
think
so
he's
like in
gonna
the
be our
middle of
president.
the movie, they pause it and they go, "This is still a true story." Like this
Yeah,
happened, which
I
is
love
cool
that movie.
because it gets almost inconceivable after a while.
I think The Rock is going to be our president.
I think The Rock should be our president.
I think he can pull it off. And I'm not joking.
I'm not
all.
joking either, man. I would
I'm
feel
tired
like
of all
we're
this serious political discussion.
in good hands with The Rock.
My patience for real politics has waned.
Look, we're on our way there. You've seen Idiocracy, right? We're on our way.
Dude, I still haven't fucking seen that.
Oh wow, you will love that movie.
I know I would. I got salty because when I had a bit that was the same premise of that. It was about dumb people out fucking all the smart people.
Really?
One day we wake up and all the power's off. And no one knows how to turn it back on.
That would annoy me too if it was like your bit.
It's stupid because it's not my bit they stole.
No,
it's just
the concept.
parallel.
Parallel thinking.
It's an obvious concept if you think the people are out. If you think that people are getting dumber and that dumb people are having more kids, it's inevitable.
Yeah, and they are.
Yeah,
that's very true.
And I traced it back to the pyramid. Like the whole thing was like that the smart people just died. Right. And then when the dumb people showed up at the pyramid, and then they just moved in, and like nobody even lives here.
Yeah, like the alien culture that created it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Then a bunch of like fat dudes were like, "Yeah, these look good."
Yeah, the idiot workers of Egypt. They all stumbled in. Hey, we built this a couple generations ago. We're the best.
That's so funny.
That's still to me. If I had one time in, like, if you could go back in a time machine and go to one place in history and see something, I think it would have to be Egypt while they were building the pyramids. Mm-hmm. I would just love to have seen what that culture was like. Yeah. It's so hard to tell. I mean, you look at all the stone and everything, right? Even if you were standing there, I've never been to Egypt, but I've been to Chichen Itza, and it's kind of the same feeling you get where you're like, what was it like when this place was popping?
Yep.
Like, what did this feel like? What was this? These people that built these crazy structures, like, what was a normal day for them?
It's funny. I had I didn't realize it. I watched the documentary about the pyramids and not the Not the one. What's the aliens and
Which one?
Nazis and aliens? What's that one on with the guy with the crazy hair?
Ancient Aliens.
Yeah, and it
Giorgio.
and
Shout out to Giorgio Tsoukalos.
Yeah, and it's like ancient astronaut theorists surmise. You know,
Those aren't real people.
That's not really a sentence. You know,
He's fairly reasonable when you talk to him. Giorgio is just a lover of all possibilities UFO.
that's an hour's worth of a show. They're on like season 11.
Oh, they're season 89
they're
right now.
They're
I watched that
skimping
show.
now. You know, it's not the first one with like the Nazca lines. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, it's pretty interesting. But now they're like, ancient astronauts theorists surmise that palm trees were brought here. And you're like, oh, just stop. Like,
Listen, man,
you did it. You finished it.
If ghost shows are still on the air, let them be on the air. Because at least they're showing cool old buildings
right.
and shit and stone structures.
They haven't found
Could
one-
it be possible
They haven't
that
found one
aliens
ghost.
constructed this?
Yeah.
Not one ghost, man. At least we have some cool rocks to look at where you look at like, you know, what are those giant stones in, is it Peru?
Stonehenge?
No. Stonehenge is in England.
In England, yeah. But
There's some crazy structures somewhere in South America that Giorgio was talking to us about. And it was one of the reasons why some people speculate that it's possible that some of the things that are constructed that we really don't have any idea how ancient primitive man did were actually constructed by someone from another planet.
Yeah. Which I don't think is any less reasonable than people thinking God pointed his finger and was like giraffes.
You're right about that. You're right about that.
Like half the world believes that.
You're right about that, but it's more reasonable to think that it was done by people because we know people are a real thing, and we know people have built a lot of shit.
Yeah.
So this is it. This is the exact structure. These fucking stones, they're not just cut and placed perfectly, but they're fit together like a jigsaw puzzle. And somehow or another, they carved and moved these enormous stones. And if you stand right next to them, like there's some photos of people standing next to them. Stand right next to them, apparently they just tower over people. So these were all done, who knows how many thousands of years ago.
But isn't there like a reasonable thing to think that like maybe they had technology that is lost to time?
Yeah, that's a reasonable thing to think, for
right?
sure.
Like
yeah,
in other
I
words,
agree.
like if our civilization crumbles and in 2,000 years people dig it up.
Yeah.
And they find the Empire State Building and be like, how'd they do it? They're not going to find like a backhoe.
Look at this picture. Look at these fucking stones.
Yeah,
it's amazing. Go back to the other one with the person in front of us so you can see the perspective. Look how big that shit is.
So
I
did not think it was that big.
They're so big, dude.
It looked like a staircase.
This was one of Giorgio's things. He was saying, like, we don't have the technology to do this right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you wanted to get someone to go out there and move those giant stones and cut them and place them. I mean, we kind of have the technology, but holy shit, would it take a lot of money? Would it take giant fucking cranes? It would take forever. Look at what they did. They did this whole structure of all these things.
Then you got to get the guys to show up. Think about how hard it is to like get your kitchen done. The guy's like, I need 2 more weeks. My stone guy's out of town.
How long would it take to build something that fucking crazy?
I don't know.
And so the idea was that aliens came here, built some things, fucked with our DNA, and got ghost. See ya.
Fuck some early man.
Yeah, gave some early man a couple of pokey pokes.
Exactly.
And then decided
like the coyote at your backyard.
Yeah. No, I didn't finish that story.
No.
So the brooding chicken that was in that cage, she honey dicked my mastiff into smashing open the cage. Because the mastiff just smashed the cage. Like, she was trying to get at the cage. Like, she's like where the chicken was, the coyote was.
Oh, the coyote was.
And my mastiff's like, I got this, and just smashed the fucking thing and tore it open.
And then
she was running out the backyard with the chicken in her mouth and hopped the fence. And I saw her hop the fence with the chicken in her mouth.
Oh.
I'm like, I'm living in a goddamn Disney movie.
You are.
Look at this.
Yeah.
I just watched a coyote snatch a chicken from
your
backyard.
yard. Yeah, that's badass.
Ooh, it was wild.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing is my fucking dog standing over there. I was like, asshole. What the fuck did you do?
He's like, I don't know. She's a nice.
Yeah.
She's here. She's
We're having
pretty.
some fun. It's cool to kill chickens.
Yeah, man. Animals are animals. You can't really expect much more from a dog. He's like, I don't know. That dude wanted a chicken. So just trying to help.
These stones. What part of the world is it, Jamie? So people can look at it.
It's in Peru.
Peru. And what's the name of the structures? It's like something Tayu. God, I wish I could remember.
It's in the Cuzco district, Cusco, and it's I can't. I want to try to say that.
Peru's got some cool stuff.
That's not what we were just looking at earlier, though, is it?
Yep.
That's the whole overstructure. That's what it looks like from the top.
Yeah, that's what I googled, and then
Holy shit!
It's a fortress.
Dude, holy shit!
Yeah, that does look like aliens built it.
Well, or super sophisticated man that was wiped out in a disaster. That's more likely.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing is how quickly then, if that's the case, how quickly then we came from some sort of ape man to what we are now. You know, it hasn't been that long. The amount
Well, how
of
long ago do they think this was built?
this shit was built like at least 1,000 years ago, I think.
Right. So
I don't think they know though. See, the problem is if you don't, you have to get stuff from like something that someone ate, or it has to be like a carbon-based thing. You can't test the stone. You can test some of the material in the stone, or you know, like scratches on the stone, like in crevices and shit like that. You can get stuff. But when they're
But we've been
carbon
around.
testing
We've
things,
been, you know, that would have been several thousand years of man advancing at that point, 1,000 years ago, right?
I wonder.
It's
I
like-
mean, I don't know when it's hard to say because I don't know when it was actually built. When do they think it was built? So there's all these theories, and then there's these really fringe theories that push everything way, way, way back, and that stuff gets resisted a lot.
Because of carbon dating, though, right? So they,
In some cases,
Occupied since 900.
900 occupied since 900. That
expanded,
means 900 somebody moved in.
Yeah, and then they said until about the 13th century.
well, that's a long run.
So who built it though? Do they know when? Or do they
I
guess?
think the Incas, I think.
But does it say
Empire.
like what year it was built, or is you said occupied from 900?
Yeah, it said
Does that mean like that's when they first moved in?
indicate the earliest occupation on the hilltop dates to about 900 CE.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So, wow.
And they built it over 400 years or so, it sounds like.
So more than 1,000 years.
yeah, but like, you know, the
1,000 years is hard to wrap your head around.
Jewish
man.
calendar goes back to like 5,700 years ago.
I know.
So
Isn't
you
that
know,
nuts?
Right.
Why-
So man had a lot of time to get some sweet tech by 900.
Yeah, it's so arbitrary that we start at zero and then start up again. Like
Yeah.
you go backwards and you go into negative numbers. Like
Yeah,
what?
it's so stupid.
It's so dumb.
Yeah.
It's
Blame
weird.
the Christians.
It's weird how we do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even with like temperature. You know,
Well,
it's
us not
weird.
being on the metric system is pretty
So
stupid.
stupid.
It's so stupid.
Like you go to places and you go Celsius. What's that? It's 23 Celsius outside.
Yeah.
What the fuck is 23 Celsius?
but if you
that
learn
could be
it,
anything.
I know. I agree. I'm like, so we're all going to die. So we're all going to die.
Are we sunbathing or are we skiing?
Yeah, is that, yeah.
I have
like,
no fucking
so
idea.
winter hat or shorts.
I have no idea, but
Yeah.
a lot of them know our stupid shit,
Well, 'cause,
which is interesting.
Yeah, there's more sort of a we're like that's like a real American move. Like they tried to switch over in the 70s to the metric system. People are like, fuck you, I ain't learning some
Yeah.
French math.
Dude,
you
I
know?
remember it. I remember it being taught in schools when
Yeah.
I was in school.
They tried.
They tried soccer too.
Yeah. Yep. Just picking up now. Just maybe a little heat now.
Little bit.
Little bit.
A little bit.
But yeah, it's funny to me, that stuff. Like that's kind of what I love about America. It's
Yeah.
like that, just like that. Yeah, we're not going to do that.
Not interested.
But the rest of the world, yeah, we don't give a shit.
Fuck
convert,
you
fuck
and
you,
fuck the
convert.
metric system.
Yeah. It sounds French. It sounds gay. Sounds like a gay system.
Oh, it's the maîtrise. It's the maîtrise
We're
system.
not using gay math, okay? We're Americans.
It's better though. I mean, it's in tens. Why are we doing 12s?
No, it's better, but it is confusing when somebody tells you a metric. You know, they say like, oh, it's a liter, like liters of gas. Or if you drive in Europe,
Right.
and you're looking at the speedometer, it has the conversion on there for you. But
Whenever you'd say like 12 inches is a foot, like why 12? Fuck is that? What is that?
I don't know.
Why did you arbitrarily, and it's only us and a few other countries that still accept that, right?
What, that 12 inches is a
Yeah.
foot,
How many people do that? Do they accept it in Canada? Canada's metric, right?
and then 3 feet's a yard.
I think Canada's metric.
Yeah, it is. I think
Yeah.
like most places are metric.
Yeah, I have a friend from Australia, my friend Adam Greentree, and he talks in meters. It's about 120 meters. Like,
Yeah.
what?
That
what
means nothing
is
to
that?
me. Yeah.
What even
You're like,
is that?
You're like, how many football fields?
Yeah, how far
That's
the fuck
distance-
away is that?
There's only two distances I understand: school bus length and football field.
How
'Cause
many
that's the
meters-
only way things have been taught to me.
Yeah, how many meters are in a real unit of measurement? Like a real one, like an American one. How many meters? Huh?
Yeah.
How many feet are in that fucking meter? You
Well, it's-
fucking goofy ass meter.
Yeah.
It's a yard. I
fucking
want to know what a yard
I
is.
need yards.
30 yards away. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's it. Even when you're in school, the only way they teach you about the distance of things is stacked school buses or football field.
Yeah.
They're like, the moon is 147 million football fields. You know, you're like, that, now I understand. Whatever the distance is, but it's always converted to football fields and school buses.
Always, right? Yeah.
As a student, that's all I remember ever in science. Like,
Even
that
with,
would be like taking school buses and going from here to Australia, you know, and you're like, it's like 97 million school buses. You're like, whoa.
That's true. A school bus is like a constant unit of measurement.
Measurement and football fields. That's all we understand.
Yeah. It's true.
It's
true.
like how far does she live? Like 2 football fields and 3 school buses. we could walk.
It's pretty cold though.
It's cold. So how cold is it? 24 Celsius. Oh, so 23 Celsius is probably is that like 70 degrees?
I have no idea. I literally have no idea. I know a little bit about kilos, but
Yeah.
very little. I know
75.
embarrassingly little.
How much?
75.
23 is 75?
24.
Okay.
Yeah.
24 is 75. All right, I'll remember that.
Yeah,
I'll remember that. And that way, if it gets to like 30, I'll go, hey, it must be hot as fuck.
Because 0 Celsius is 32, right? Because
Yes.
their 0 is freezing, which
Their
makes
zero
sense.
is our...
That's freezing.
yes, but our 40 below is the same as their 40 below.
Do you want to know the math trick? It's tough. It's
Okay.
9/5 Celsius plus 32.
Jesus
Equals Fahrenheit.
Christ.
9/5 Celsius plus 32. Fuck you.
What does that even mean?
Just fuck you.
I don't know how do you do 9/5?
It's almost a half, but it's
just
a little bit under a half.
Fuck somebody, one of
Right.
you. Fuck one of you. Somebody.
A.
We need to figure out who's
Or a little
got
more
a
than a half, I'm
simpler
sorry, a little
thing
more.
that I could use.
9/5.
Who's got a simpler thing? 9/5. Get the fuck out of here with your
Yeah.
with your
Hard to do it
Fahrenheit.
mentally. I
We
But
need
it-
to
but-
switch over to Celsius.
But 0 Celsius is freezing, and 32
Right.
Fahrenheit is
It's freezing. Yeah.
But it's not just offset by 32.
Something happens around 40 below zero, they become the same.
Huh.
I don't know if it maintains for very long or if degrees get colder, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It just 0 makes more sense as the
Yeah,
coldest.
but it's weird. Like, how the fuck is, if our 32 is a Celsius 0, how the fuck is it the same thing at 40 below? It doesn't even make sense.
Doesn't make sense.
Here's another
And
explanation.
how are you not
for
just
it.
adding
Okay.
32
That
the
a
whole time?
Canadian
We're
hooked
so
a friend out
stupid,
with.
though.
I'm so dumb.
We're so
So
dumb.
he said, my friend gave me this tip: double the centigrade temperature, subtract the first digit of the result, and then add 32 to that.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to try that.
Aren't you really?
Yeah, so 23. All right, okay, so 46. And then what do we do with the first digit of the result?
There it is, right there.
So 23 Celsius equals 74 Fahrenheit. 23 C times 2 is 46.
Minus the first digit, so minus the 4.
46
And then
minus
add
4 is 42.
Wow.
42 plus 32 is
Tracks.
74.
But I guess it works.
Hey, fuck you.
Yeah. That's the, by the way, that's the easy one.
That's the
Yeah.
easy
No,
one.
yeah.
But what's amazing to me is like when you meet someone that lets you know, like, well, you just talk to them about math and they can do like math problems in their head, and you realize, like, oh, I'm a math baby.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a math baby.
Oh,
Like,
totally.
there's people that were like looking at that, going, "Yeah, that's what you do. That's it. It's obvious.
Oh,
it's right
completely.
there." Like,
There's
this is-
certain
I'll do that in
things-
my head. But 74 degrees.
I'll have moments where, like, I had this recently. I was just laying in bed, you know, in an insomniac state, like I often am in, and I was going, how do you do long division? and I was like, I haven't done long division, and I like tried doing a problem, and I got it wrong, and then I had to read. I was like, oh yeah, you know, like it was like
Yeah.
it was confusing, and I haven't done it in. When's the last time you put out a pen and paper to do a long division?
Dude, I barely do the add the tip part thing right.
Yeah,
I
I
have
had the
to,
tip
like,
I
make
have down
sure
because you
I
just
get
move
that down.
You just double it and
My-
it move the decimal.
My adding sucks.
I put that on my Instagram recently. It was a
Right.
question to get on into MIT in 1869.
Whoa.
So it's really just the order of operations if you can figure this out.
Let E equals 8 in the following equation, and there's a bunch of.
It's tough.
What is the numerical value of the equation? Hint: as mentioned earlier, knowledge of the order of operations will be pretty important here. Scroll down to read the answer. Huh.
A lot of people did not get it right, but most people kind of got it right.
Well, what is it?
The answer is 15 to this.
Oh.
Yeah.
Are you well versed in these kind of equations?
I remembered how to do it pretty quickly. That's like a friend
Yeah.
showed it to me, and I was like,
I don't remember
know
how to do
that.
any of that.
Interesting. I don't
What's that
remember how to
little
do
check
it.
mark?
I'm
Square root.
Okay.
fairly positive I never learned any of that. Fairly positive. But that's a good example.
Yeah.
Like I'm completely illiterate when it comes to that.
And that's
Yep.
a cube root. No one knew what that was either.
A cube root. Oh.
It's like an exponent. But
Jesus Christ.
man. Dude, I literally, there's just nothing I could do with that.
Well, that's what's so fascinating
I
about
was bad at
society,
that, though.
and that's why, if anybody and it's not all good, but that's one of the things that's fascinating by society is that there's so many different people with so many different abilities, and there are people that gravitate towards that and are wizards at mathematics. And there's other people like you and I that are good at talking shit.
Yeah. That guy. We live in a world where that can happen.
Oh, thank God.
No, I often think about how useless I'll be. Like if the apocalypse goes down, you're going to be like the dude you want to hang out with. But if the apocalypse goes down, I'm done.
Dude, if the apocalypse goes down, whatever happens, you want it to happen in your neighborhood.
You do?
So it's over.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
If a meteor hits, you want it to hit your house. If
But I'm
it's
saying
an earthquake,
in a post-apocalyptic
you don't want to eat dogs.
society, say we both survived it and we're living in a shanty town. You have skills. You can hunt. You can do shit.
I can do some things.
Yeah,
I
what
can
am I gonna
teach you
do?
the things that I know how pretty quick.
I would bring no value. Let's
You'd
eat
be
the Jew
fine.
first.
You'd figure it out after a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
The
I mean,
real problem would be
I can fix things. I know how to fix things, but I don't know how to hunt.
It's not
useless
hard.
with a bow and arrow.
You would figure it out.
Do you use a gun ever? You've ever used
Not anymore.
a rifle?
But I would. It's a better way to get meat. It's more accurate. You can do it from further away. It's if it doesn't require nearly as much discipline. Still requires a lot of discipline, but not nearly as much as a bow and arrow.
Bow and arrow is just cooler.
It's harder. It's way more difficult. But then there's other people that use a traditional bow, and they think that guys like me are pussies because I use a compound bow.
You mean like Legolas bow? Like just one?
Like Bob Robin Hood.
Just like that's it? Just
yeah. A lot of them use recurves, but some don't even use recurves. They
Wow.
use like an old school stick bow.
Really?
Yeah, there's people that want to make things tougher on themselves.
Yeah.
They want a bigger and bigger challenge, and it gets into this weird territory. It's like some people said you should only hunt with a rifle because it's probably the most deadly thing that you could use in that situation. So you shouldn't use a bow and arrow because you're not using a bow and arrow because it's more effective. You're just using it so it's more of a challenge to you. It's
Sure.
like it's a bastardization of the original idea of what hunting is.
Right.
Now, some people feel like that. But then other people are like, no, it's just a different kind of hunting.
Yeah.
If you do it correctly, you have less likelihood of success, but if you do it correctly, you have just as much of a likelihood of killing the animal. So it's not like it's an unethical thing if it's done correctly. It just requires way more work.
Yeah, and like you said, more skill.
Yeah, but if you were in an apocalyptic scenario where we had to go out and get food and you and I went out, I could teach you what you'd need to know pretty quick. You're
Yeah.
not stupid.
No.
The hard part would be learning how to be accurate with a bow. That would be the hardest
I
part.
want to learn that. I was actually going to text you one day and go, what's a good starter bow? I just want a bow.
Dude,
I want to learn how to shoot a bow.
Any real good, there's a bunch of good companies. I use a Hoyt, but there's a bunch of great ones. Like Matthews makes great bows. There's a bunch of companies that make recurve bows, which are fun to practice. Like Duncan has a recurve.
He does?
Yeah, he shoots it in his backyard. He loves it.
That's cool.
It's just a fun thing to do, man. Even
Yeah.
if you never want to ever shoot an animal and you don't even want to eat eggs. You're
Yeah.
just straight up vegan.
Yeah.
Like archery is a fun thing to do. It's like a weird kind of a meditation. Like something happens when you're at full draw and you're like holding on an arrow and then you release that arrow and it just sails right into the target. It gives you this weird charge. It's like you're doing almost like a form of yoga with your mind and your body together, because everything has to be perfectly still, and then on the release, if it goes in the right spot, you get this big burst of satisfaction. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
There's something, and you can't think about anything else other than the shot that you're attempting to make.
Yeah.
You have to keep your eyes on where you're trying to hit. There's a mind thing going on with archery that's fascinating.
I do think, though, shooting a gun is like that. Probably not as intense or meditative, but there's something like, when people are like, oh, I don't know why anyone wants a gun. I'm like, have you ever shot one? Really, I mean, I don't own a gun. I mean, I live in New York City. It's not really even an option for me, but it's, like I said, I've been it was when I was in Afghanistan with some of those dudes, and they were like, take us to the shooting range, and we were shooting all their different weapons. And again, it was a war zone. So
Yeah.
I'm not getting into my ethical, I'm not a huge fan of AR-15s for 18-year-olds, but I get why people want guns. I get why people want to own guns. I think that's like the argument in the country. It's like, I wish people would just take a beat and go, like you just said about the abortion thing. I understand you feel that way. It's like, that's okay. So you feel that way. And then that way it becomes less of a conversation about, we got to get rid of guns, and more of a conversation about all right, we just have to tidy up a couple components of it, you know, that kind
But
of stuff.
definitely have to figure out how to stop people from buying them legally when they're
Crazy.
well, there's something wrong with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, here's a question. How many of these mass shootings were actually done by someone who was in the NRA?
Well, according to the people on the right, none.
Is that true?
But
though?
I don't know. I mean, that's like the
I saw
propaganda
that.
that's out there right now on Twitter.
Yeah,
Is
that's
that
why.
no one, yeah.
That's why I wanted to ask you if you knew.
Yeah, that could be a Russian bot for all I know.
Probably, right?
Yeah.
Just spreading that fake news, baby.
Yeah.
Hashtag fake news.
But yeah,
see
I don't know.
See if that's real. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah,
an
it
interesting
kinda does.
question.
Well, if that is, then it gets weird. Like, why is everybody attacking the NRA? 'Cause
Well, I
know
think they're the
the
ones
ones who are making it easier to access these guns.
Right, they're the ones
Right.
cock blocking any legislation getting done because they have paying so much money to these congressmen and senators. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
did you saw that lieutenant governor Delta said they don't want to. First of all, I got to be honest with you, man. Like, I had no idea you got like. Your flights are cheaper because you own a gun? I was like, what the fuck, dude? Like, I'm just getting ripped off on Delta because I don't own a gun? Like, what a fucking bullshit thing.
Well, you could actually
I couldn't
join the
even
NRA
believe
and
that.
not own a gun.
Yeah, but it was just like, what the
Yeah.
fuck? I
They
didn't
had
know
a
they
deal.
got discounts, you know? It was just such a weird thing to find out. And now that Delta pulled that, it did. I was like, wait. But, you know, like my passive mentality cost more money, you know?
So the thought is that the NRA has made it more easy for crazy people to access these guns, and so
That's
have
what
to
it is. It's like
take
the
some
idea
of the
that
power
like
away from them.
Yeah, the idea
That's-
that like we can't raise the age to 21. Well, if you can
Right.
go to war at 18, why can't you? I don't know. Maybe raise. I don't know. I mean, it seems like when you go to war, you're getting trained by the military.
Right.
Versus when you're just 18 and you walk into a gun store and walk out with an AR-15. Nobody taught you how to use it. Literally, just bought a gun. It's a strange like. I just my thought on it has always been like, why not? Like, if you have a driver's license for a car, but then like if you have to drive a bus or like a truck, you have to get a different class of driver's license. You have to get like a class D or a class C, whatever the next level is. There's different classes of driver's license. Like, you can't just go buy a big rig and start driving it around the
Right.
country. You got to get a license
Yeah.
for driving a big rig, which means you have to go to school, learn how to drive one, learn how to park one, all the things that it fucking takes.
and you have to prove it to an expert.
Yeah, and you have to
we
prove
were
it to
actually
an
talking
expert.
about this yesterday.
Yeah, so why not just have it be that simple? Which is, you want to own a handgun,
Yeah.
you get the Class A handgun license.
Mm-hmm.
You take your road test, which is like know how to load it, know how to clean it, whatever the
Yeah.
rules become, and then it takes 4 hours to pass the test. It's like 10 written questions, and then that's it. And then you get the license, you get the gun, and it's yours. And then next class, yeah, I'd like to own a shotgun. All right, get a Class B shotgun license, take the class, take the thing, fine. And then you get to like the AR-15 level, and they like, oh, and now you have an instructor looking at the guy like, this guy doesn't seem. He's a little, you know, he's got a little bit like of a dead eye here, you know, like maybe we don't,
He's got that
maybe we
stare.
like, yeah, maybe we double check this guy or whatever, you know, like you can get a sense of people in that environment, or if it's a 5-question thing you have to answer, you know, and it's like what are your hobbies? And it's like eating rabbits alive, you know, you're like, damn, man, that guy.
Don't you
You
think
know?
they hide those answers though?
I don't know. A real crazy person, a real psychologist can spot a fucking crazy person based on how they hide their answers.
A
You
real
know?
psychologist. Do you think from the written word, or
I
from
think that
their,
you could
looking
devise
at
a
their
test.
face?
I think you could devise a written test where someone will be like, this is an alarming answer to this
Right.
question because it references his mother and it has nothing to do with his mother or
Jesus.
whatever fucking weird, you know.
Right.
So look, that sounds really unappealing to people, and I get that they're mad, but that wouldn't be banning any guns. That would be, you can have any gun you want. You just have to like do a very basic, you know, rudimentary 7-question test and go to a firing range with a pro for 2 hours, and he has to make sure you know what you're doing.
The NRA's perspective is they don't want to give an inch.
Yeah.
Because if they give an inch, they feel like the ultimate is they're just going to lose ground. They're going to lose more ground, lose more ground.
What's the slippery slope part?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like that whenever anything happens, like now more than ever, I think people are demanding some sort of a change. Like there has to be some sort of a change.
Poll says 75% of the country wants some kind of change. Even Trump wants to raise the age, but it won't happen because the legislation won't pass.
It's one of those things where I seriously doubt, and I'm not saying this is a good or a bad thing, but I seriously doubt if we didn't have guns and all of a sudden guns became a thing and we all had to vote as to whether or not everyone should be able to have guns, I don't think it would have passed. I don't think it would pass.
No way.
But it's interesting though, because
Yeah.
it exists now, and now, you know, most politicians are in favor of it.
'Cause
Some are in favor of limiting it slightly.
Well, they get a lot of money.
Yeah.
They got a lot of money from the NRA.
But it's also like who, and I'm not saying you shouldn't be able to have guns, but who wants us to have guns? Like if you're just going to be completely democratic, like what percentage of the people actually want everybody to have guns and what don't? Well, just out of pure curiosity with no judgment.
Percentage want everyone to have guns?
No,
I think,
want people to be able to have guns, and so what percentage thinks that no one should have guns? Like if you had, like they'll cite Australia or something like that,
I think
where they took all the guns.
I think it's a much smaller group of people that don't want anyone to have a gun. Like I don't think there's
so
that
too.
many. I think there's probably like 14% of the country that thinks no one should have a gun.
Yeah, I think the vast majority think we need some new sort of regulations and restrictions.
Absolutely, just reasonable, reasonable restrictions. I really don't think anyone is saying. I mean, I think that it's a right that's embedded in the DNA of the country. Whether you like it or not, it's part of the DNA of the country, and like
right, but
it's something that's
change?
very important.
Does that stay? It just stays that way forever.
Well, look, I think that to me, there arguments could be made about this, which is, I don't think people really understand how everyone lives. I think there's so many different lifestyles in this country that like. I think you have a perception of like, say, like a suburban, just outside a metropolis kind of a mom that doesn't realize that for some people in the country, when they dial 911, it's like a 50-minute response time. You know, like it's not like there's like a local firehouse and they, like people feel like I have to be able to protect my family because I can't necessarily rely on the police to come. I mean, I think that's true.
I think, does happen.
Yeah. And I also think that like there's a component to people's fears of like, society unfolding and whatever that's perpetuated by. I actually believe that people from the dawn of time have always believed they're going to be the last ones on earth. I believe that they're going to live through the apocalypse because I really think it's all about FOMO, fear of missing out. And it's this feeling of like, once I die, everyone else should die. So like cool shit doesn't keep happening once I'm dead, But
that's
it's like,
what you really think?
I really do. I think that people have this instinct of like, I'm going to die with everyone else. It's like, no, you're going to die and then we're going to forget about you and then cool shit's going to keep happening.
That's hilarious.
And it's like, I remember when I left The Daily Show, I felt that way. I'm like, good luck, assholes. And then like the show kept going. I was like, oh, they're fine. My life has no purpose, And it's that feeling of like, you want to see, it's like when a football player or whatever, any athlete leaves a team. They're like, good luck winning without me. And then they win the Super Bowl the next year. And like, you are the problem, Jeremy Shockey,
I don't think that applies to the apocalypse, though. I think the apocalypse is people understanding and knowing in their head that they're fragile and that their very environment is fragile and that we're lucky that it stays the way it is right now. But the more we learn about super volcanoes, asteroidal impacts, earthquakes, tsunamis, all the crazy shit that can happen to people, the more we realize how fucking incredibly fragile we are. So we're always worried about the big thing that happens. Because there could be a big thing that can happen. If some super volcano blows and there's ash that covers the sun or blocks out the sun and we lose all our crops,
it's like
food
a nuclear
shortages.
winter.
It's 100% possible.
Totally.
Earthquakes, fucking asteroidal impacts, all that shit's 100% possible.
An asteroid hitting the Earth or not hitting the Earth is just up to fucking what's floating around in
it's
space.
happened
We have
a
no
ton
control
of
over
times.
it. Yeah.
And if people have been alive, if human beings have been what we are now for how many thousands of years? What is like
10,000 maybe? No, more, I think.
More than that.
Yeah.
I think
I'm just thinking about modern
humans.
Modern humans.
I want to say like 200,000 years. Does that make sense?
And for modern humans,
Yeah.
though?
I think that's probably wrong, though. I think it's more like 50,000.
I guess it depends on what we're calling modern. Like, is there?
Yeah. That's a good question.
Yeah.
What do we call modern?
Like a society that has like an economy and like
right.
a trade system, systems
right.
of trade, roads, tools.
Shelter.
Yeah.
Right. When is it? What do we got?
Stone tools was 2.5 million.
No,
stone tools.
But that's like
but that's I saw an orangutan at the zoo using a stick to try to get bugs.
Then the next thing says modern man is 200,000 years ago.
Well, that's what you said, right?
200,000. Yeah, okay.
But I guess
they think that 200,000 years ago they essentially looked just like us.
Yeah,
but like
Homo sapien.
Pretty close to us.
Yeah. I bet if you saw a woman for 200,000 years ago, you'd be like, yeah, she's hot. You'd be like, what the fuck?
You think so?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. That's a long time ago.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
Are you swiping right? What are you doing on your phone?
I was just looking up. I was just Googling that piece of information.
Yeah, that's a crazy notion when you really think of 200,000 years.
Yeah.
200,000 years ago, we weren't even people. We were some other thing
Mm-hmm.
that became people. Like, what are we going to become?
Yeah, I just like when you go back 200,000 years, it feels like you're, that's like pretty close to like caveman era.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
that
that's not-
is caveman era, I think.
Like,
Which really crazy.
It's not like ape man, but it's like,
like super primitive.
super
human.
primitive. Yeah.
But that's modern human, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think that was revised. They were
I was
saying
thinking more
something
about, like-
recently that modern human was
like when you have trade and
right.
like
civilization.
civilization,
Yeah.
like that more, versus the the actual like body being,
I think they used to think it was where Iraq is. I think they thought that was the oldest.
Mesopotamia?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
that area. Sumer. They think that was one of the first real civilizations. They think that was the first, at least the first evidence of written language. And there's a lot of it there. Sumer in Mesopotamia is, in fact, the first known complex civilization, developing the first city-states in the 4th millennium BCE. It was around these cities that the earliest known form of writing, cuneiform script, appeared around 3000 BCE.
Yeah.
I like how they go BCE now for the non-Christians.
Yeah.
Before current era. Like, why is it current? What is that BCE, you sneaky bitch?
Yeah, so that's
I thought
going-
it was even earlier than that. I didn't think
But
it
I'm
was
saying
just
that's
3,000.
going back like 5,000.
5,000
That's like
plus
the
years
Jewish
ago.
calendar, right?
Yeah.
5,700 years ago, where they like started keeping track of shit,
Right.
and they had like
So that's what they think
language
about.
and
That's what
trade.
they think about all those structures, like the pyramids and all those different things. They
Yeah.
think that there was advanced civilizations that died off, and that's why all those things were there.
Well, you know about like the library in Alexandria, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's one of those things that probably lost of thousands of years.
Yeah, they burned all the shit the Egyptians knew. Mm-hmm. Like thousands of years. Like we might not ever figure it out.
But I'm saying, like, just God knows
Right.
what they
What
had
history,
discovered,
yeah.
and how we could have stacked our science on top of that, and right now be, who knows? We could be living to like 250 years old for all we know. Like we don't know what they knew or how they built that shit. Like it's just like that's like a total religious move. Too much knowledge in here. You know?
Yeah, they
Get
just
rid of
hated
it.
the enemy.
We're never gonna be able to convince these people of an invisible cloud man if they could read these books. So burn this fucking thing down.
Yeah, and people had been apparently going back and forth to Egypt forever for
Yeah.
like knowledge. They would go there to learn shit.
Yeah, and it was a lush place.
Yeah.
That-
Do you know
I
that
always had a-
Cleopatra? It was closer. Cleopatra is closer to the birth of the iPhone than she is to the construction of the pyramids.
Whoa.
So if you go from Cleopatra to today, is a shorter time period than Cleopatra to the construction
When they
of the
built
pyramids.
the pyramids. Wow. That's crazy.
Wrap your fucking head around that jazz.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And if you listen to Graham Hancock and John Anthony West, this guy was an Egyptologist who just passed, they think that it goes back way further than that. They think that the pyramids of Giza might be from 2,500 years ago, but they think there's a lot of shit in Egypt, giant things, including the Sphinx, that are thousands and thousands of years older than that.
Well, did you see that they just invented this new air sonar?
Yes.
They
using
discovered
Guatemala.
that Guatemalan
Woo!
society in the fucking
Dude,
jungle.
that's
My
crazy.
mind exploded when I saw
crazy.
that. Crazy.
Did you see that Lost City of Z, that movie?
I didn't. It's like on my. It's a movie I want to watch, but then I like watched the trailer and I was like, eh.
Moshe Kasher sent me the book, and I almost read it, but then I found out there was a movie. I'm like, fuck
Just
your
jumped
book.
the gun. Let's knock this out in an hour and a half, huh? Exactly.
I'm sure it's not as good, though, because
course
Moshe was raving about the book. Oh, by the way, congratulations to Moshe and Latasha for making people.
Oh, they had a kid.
They made a person. Yeah,
Oh,
they made a person.
fantastic. Wow.
But that City of Z movie was really interesting because these people were just the rawest of raw adventurers. I mean, they'd get horrible mosquito bites, and
Yep.
they'd go into the jungle, these crazy Englishmen. And like that to me was what was interesting about that book, to try to see, I don't know, it was really well done. So I assumed that their version of like what these English scholarly gentlemen were like when they were planning out these epic mega trips. But when you're watching it take place, like the way they did it in the movie, you really felt like that could have been how it went down. Mm-hmm. And this crazy fucking guy went just deep, deep, deep into the
Well,
jungle
like,
looking for a lost
If
civilization.
they kept journals and things, which most of those dudes did,
Yeah.
you know, you have to take, I guess, what they're writing with a grain of salt because you're like, I want to make myself sound as badass as possible.
For sure. But they definitely found some stuff and
For
brought
sure.
it back,
Yeah,
too.
they went.
They
you
found
know?
pottery, and they found a bunch of different things.
Just
Whoa,
think about-
is that the guy? Colonel Percy Fawcett? Is that his head?
Oh wow.
They think it might be his head?
I'm gonna look.
Oh, dude, go to that page, please.
Whoa.
We need to know about this shit. Strange stories. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, they probably killed that dude and cut his head off. I mean, that's what they were doing to people down there. They probably got tired of this white dude stumbling around through the forest.
Shrunken
Yeah.
head thing.
Yeah.
How do they shrink heads? Do
They
you know?
cut your skull out. This is the thing. I used to think they shrunk the whole skull and everything. I'm so stupid. I already told you how dumb I am when it comes to eggs. With shrunken heads, I thought, they got some fucking solution. It makes the head shrink up. No, they take the skull out, and then they take the skin, stitch it all up together, and then they do something with it to make it like shrivel up.
Like put a coconut or something in there.
I don't remember. how they make it
I would
shrivel up.
never, in a million years, if you asked how a shrunken head would made.
And they
I would-
stuff it.
I would have no. I wouldn't even guess.
I think they stuff it too.
Might be his head. It kind of looked like the guy.
I
in
think
that
that's his
picture.
head. That's Homeboy's head.
That guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they chopped that dude up and did something to his head.
Wow.
That is so crazy. But what a dark way of approaching other human beings. They have his eyeballs stitched up. They have a rope coming out of his mouth.
It looks like just a carrying strap.
Yeah, it
so you
could
can
be.
you can put it on your
Dude,
belt.
you might be right. They stitched his mouth up though, right? Doesn't it look like his mouth is stitched up?
Yeah, but that looks like a little.
And the
Yeah.
neck, too.
It's like they made a
His neck.
keychain. That's what it looks like. They got that little loop on
Yeah,
the end.
they carried that dude around their dick.
Yeah.
And just walked through the forest.
It was all for a novelty store in town.
That was their version of Forever 21.
Yeah, the little like Hudson News in town with little knickknacks.
What a fucked up practice. Cutting
Yeah.
people's heads off, taking the skin off, stitching it all up and shrinking it.
But yeah, but again, it's like we were talking about food. It's like we had a lot of fucked up shit we did here too.
Oh, yeah.
Smallpox on blankets. That's not
real.
Pretty fucked up. It's
That's
not real.
No.
Wait,
They
who
didn't even
debunked that?
They didn't even know what bacteria was back then.
Oh, I thought they were
didn't
just, like,
know that
wiping
they
it
could
on, like, sick
figure
people.
out how to get. No, apparently it's an urban myth.
Huh.
Apparently,
Definitely not urban.
Yeah,
it's a rural.
myth.
It's a rural
It's a
myth.
rural myth. It's a Wild West
Yeah.
myth. Apparently, what happened was just the first European settlers, just alone by their presence, killed somewhere around 90% of the Native Americans.
bringing
at the time.
outside disease?
All kinds of crazy shit that people had no immune systems for.
Right.
And that this idea that they did it all with blankets this is not to say that people didn't do horrible things to the Native Americans, because they absolutely did. And it's not to in any way diminish the genocide that took place on the Native Americans. But I don't think that the blanket thing was true, because they didn't know how to isolate syphilis. I mean, unless they just went to patients that had syphilis
Or smallpox,
and put
I
it,
thought it was.
or smallpox, whatever it was. You're right, not
Yeah,
syphilis.
that's what I thought. I thought
Syphilis
they just,
killed Al Capone.
I thought they just knew. Yeah,
I got my stories mixed up.
Which is a good way to go out.
I guess. I think you go blind.
Being sarcastic.
But yeah, I just think the just exposure to Europeans killed the great many of them. And there's a guy named Dan Flores that I had on my podcast that's an expert in the history of animals in North America.
I think I heard that podcast.
Fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Guy's a genius. He's
Yeah.
brilliant. But he was talking about buffalo, and that when the Native Americans died off, when like literally 90% of them were killed by European diseases.
Wild.
It's just crazy. And a lot of them that were killed off by Europeans, the buffalo weren't hunted anymore. So they grew to these mammoth proportions. So it's his contention that those giant fields of buffalo that people experienced, where there was like thousands and thousands and thousands of buffaloes stampeding across the field, that would have never taken place if the same amount of Native Americans had been there as
Wow.
previously.
'Cause they weren't controlling the
hunting them.
population.
Yeah.
Wow.
They were the primary predator, because all they did was follow these. I mean, that's why they had these teepees. A lot of them would follow the herds of
Yeah.
buffalo, and they'd peck at them from the outside.
It's just nomadic culture. Yeah.
And they just stayed with the buffalo, but they also kept their numbers down, because if there's several hundred Native Americans or how many in their camp,
Right.
they're killing a couple buffalo a day every
Yep.
day, and everybody's eating it, and then there's no refrigerator,
And
so
then they're
go
moving
after
to
it
the next
again
one, yeah.
and keep following it. So they're basically just eating buffalo and shooting arrows at them and taking the populations down all the time.
That's so interesting.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I'd never heard it before. He was on my friend Steve Rinella's podcast, and he explained it on there. And then Rinella explained it to me also independently. And then I had him on the podcast. Then I read his book too. He's got 2 books. See if you could find the titles of Dan Flores' books.
yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
One of them actually is a paper.
Populations expand exponentially, right?
Yeah.
So it's like the bigger
Coyote
they get.
America, right? Is that it? Coyote America. His new book is Coyote America. It's about the history of the coyote
That's
in
cool.
North America. Dude, it's fascinating shit. Guy's genius.
Yeah, he looks like he knows a lot about like.
He knows a lot of shit.
Northwestern animals.
And he lives
got
in
the
New
right
Mexico.
look, yeah.
But you get street cred with naturalists if you live in New Mexico.
Huh.
You know, that's a place where there's a lot of dudes that have gray ponytails.
Yeah,
Like a lot of gray dudes
yeah,
with
yeah,
ponytails.
yeah. A little new agey, a little scary, a little new agey.
Santa Fe. That's where
Yeah.
Tate's from. Tate Fletcher's from there. Co-owner of Caveman Coffee. Simply delicious and really pumps you up.
Well played, sir.
Thank you. You ever drink these?
No, I've never had one. I'll try
Caveman
one.
Nitro. How susceptible are you to caffeine?
You know, I mean,
270 milligrams in that motherfucker.
Oh, that's what versus how much in a cup of coffee?
A large Starbucks, I think, is like that much. Like a venti Starbucks.
Yeah.
Did we? How many times we've gone over this and I can never remember
Still
the numbers?
remember, yeah.
I want to say that a venti Starbucks is like 250 or 240, and that's a touch.
270.
That's a touch more.
Yeah.
Touch more.
I don't really need it.
All right, bro.
We'll see what
If
happens.
you're scared.
I'll drink it.
If you're scared,
I
bro.
thought you were kind of giving me the vibe of like, look, I don't have too many. You know?
No, I have a ton of them. I just got a new shipment. No, that's not what I was giving the vibe. I just always tell people because
Wow.
I've given it to people, and then like an hour into the show, they're like, "Dude, I'm on crack." Like, yeah, I should
I'm
have
gonna
told
call you later. And be like, I ran home. I ran back to West Hollywood.
Okay, so a venti. Wow, was I wrong? 415 milligrams.
Oh, so this is a
Holy
tall.
Shit.
So this is a tall.
Wow, did they jack up the caffeine?
Yeah, I don't know.
Was it always this high? Come on, was it really always this high?
I feel like we looked at it. Maybe the numbers have changed. I don't
Dude,
know.
I thought the old number for like a cup of coffee for a diner was 40.
Isn't it
I
amazing
thought
that
it was
like
40 milligrams.
I always think about like caffeine's just a drug.
Yeah.
So this is just these guys just deal a drug.
Oh,
You know,
no.
it's such
It's
a strange.
drug in a delicious bean form.
No, but it's also
Please.
addictive. You know, like once you're in, you're in. You can't not drink
As
coffee.
a person who would like to deny all of his addictions, I can't follow with you on
You
this.
really?
I think it's a lovely cup of
You
coffee.
don't think that you could you wake up and not have one?
Why would I do that when it's real? Why? Why? Just to show everybody that I can?
That's like when people are always like, pot's not addictive. I'm like, have you tried not smoking it for a week? I could anytime.
The average caffeine content of a 8-ounce brewed cup of coffee is 95 milligrams. So yeah, so Starbucks is way more.
Yeah, they're-
so an average
that's a
cup of coffee
lot-
is
that's a
95.
lot more.
I would have guessed that was way high. I for some reason thought in my head like a cup of coffee from a diner. You know, one of those reasonable small cups of coffee.
Yeah.
I remember that being 40, but that makes sense because like a real cup of coffee is probably double that size anyway. So it would be like 90, but 460 so it's not as bad as a venti. It's more like a tall.
460.
God damn, I feel like they jacked that caffeine up. Some people get super conditioned to it. Like Tate. My friend Tate, the owner of the company, he can drink 5 of those fucking things. Just sit here and throw them back.
Yeah.
But he's also a gorilla. He's a big giant dude.
That's a big factor.
It's a factor.
How much body weight you have.
Yeah,
on
he's
you.
moving around a lot of tissue. He's
Yeah.
probably 240.
I mean, I have friends can drink like that, and they're just big
giant
dudes.
dudes.
Giant dudes. Yeah. Where
My
like
friend
you,
Justin, I have a friend who's a legit giant. He's like 7 feet tall.
you do.
He's fucking big, giant
Huge,
dude.
yeah.
And he can put down some Makers and Coke that will fuck you up.
Yeah.
You can't try to keep
You
up
can't
with
try
him.
to keep up. Yeah, I have a couple friends like that. They're like, let's grab another one. I'm like, dude, I'm going to die.
You go to the dark lands.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, I got to just, I'll keep drinking, but like, let me to have a glass of water here, you know?
Yeah.
Dudes who just fucking booze. You know?
Come
I grew
on.
up with a lot of guys like that. Long Island, where I grew up, it's like a lot of like Irish
Oh, yeah.
dudes who just, we would be in high school and they would bring their own 12-pack to the party and drink 12 beers at a party like no big deal.
They look like a wine barrel.
Yeah.
Like those guys can put away booze. They're built like a barrel for booze.
And they love beer. They love beer. It's not, you know, like if you want to have a whiskey with them, they're like, nah, let's have a beer.
Yeah.
Love beer. Just fucking
Beer gives you both carbs and booze at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like a double whammy.
They love it. They
double
love it.
whammy of
Yeah,
satisfaction.
it's like having whiskey and pasta, you know?
Yeah, ew.
It's like what it's like.
But if you have like beer and crab, like cracking open some crab claws with an ice cold beer.
Delicious.
Oh,
Yeah, delicious.
a nice Sam Adams.
I like beer out of the can. I'm not going to lie, more than I like it out of
Do
the
you?
bottle. Yeah. I
when
like
I
a
drink-
can of beer.
Pabst Blue Ribbon
Yeah.
out of a can. I feel like I'm getting back to my roots that I don't really have.
Yeah, yeah. I just
yeah,
like the or like Tecate is good out of the can. Like I like having
yeah.
like because the can
Tecate's
gets
good.
really cold.
Yeah,
you know?
Tecate's good.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, Modelo. Do they have them in cans?
I don't. They might.
Do they say Modelo or Modelo? Is there one L or two L's?
Growing up, it was. I think it's 2 L's.
Is it? So wouldn't that be Modelo?
One.
Oh, it's 1. Well, there you go. I just lied.
Okay. Medeo would be 2, right?
There's a Medea.
Oh yeah. Oh, sneaky bitches trying to capitalize on that other name. Is that what's happening? Dum dum dum. Modelo.
Oh, they got cans. Yeah.
A special.
I think it's a lot of cans.
There's a video or a YouTube commercial that I watched the other day of this dude who's an astronaut, and it's a Modelo commercial, and he's Mexican American, and his dad and him are out there looking at the sky, and they crack beers together and drink a beer together. I'm like, that's really interesting. I don't think I've ever seen a beer commercial with an astronaut before.
Yeah.
And it's like, I kind of feel like it's hard to pull that off unless it's a Mexican astronaut drinking a Mexican beer with his Mexican dad. Then you got to shut the fuck up. Because people get really mad if you talk some shit about that commercial.
Yeah.
Here it is. Look at this dude. This dude was an astronaut. Powerful. Look at that fucking backdrop. Holy shit, that's amazing. And so,
I love this tune that they throw in here.
yeah, inspirational music.
This is what that Jay-Z Blueprint. He uses it in Blueprint.
Jose M. Hernandez, retired U.S. astronaut. And so they click beers by the starlight, him and his pops. You couldn't do that with Budweiser. Could you do that with Jack Daniels? Could you have like Jack Daniels? What if Kid Rock's kid becomes an astronaut?
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Kid Rock clinking Jack Daniels bottles in a fucking cornfield with his son who's an astronaut?
I don't know why you couldn't.
Why not?
I mean, why do you think you can't do it with an American? It feels like a very American thing to look at the moon and drink.
People would protest.
Be like, remember we put our flag up there? Let's have a bud.
Well, soon we're going to have war in space, Rory. I don't know if you've been paying attention to the news. Some
because of Elon
Air
Musk.
Force guy was saying that we have to prepare for the possibility of war in space. That this is an inevitable possibility, probably with drones.
Well, let me ask you this: what was your take on that UFO thing?
What is this,
So
Jimmy?
space. This was a UK ad for a beer. It's all these astronauts in space.
They're in space drinking beer?
It's like Armageddon.
Wait, there's
kinda.
British astronauts? I had no idea. I had no idea.
Belong beer.
Wow,
Belong beer.
Yeah.
Wow.
that's cool. British astronauts. Remember that UFO thing that happened like 2 months ago? And,
Which one?
And they released, like the government was like, we have no idea what this object is, and you heard the pilot in the air like, what the fuck is that? Da, da, da.
I don't feel like I've
Yeah,
seen
like came
that.
across
Yeah,
that.
remember, like they're like the UFOs. It happened right after Tom DeLonge was on here.
Yeah,
Oh,
and it was
right.
like-
Did we watch it? Did we watch the
And like
video?
the government literally confirmed that they don't know what it is, and it's a
just-
UFO, and it's doing things in the, and then everyone just stopped talking about it.
But wait a minute.
Like, but that could be.
I don't believe these things enough. I barely pay attention. They
But
come
it
my
was-
way, and
this
I
was
shut them
on
off.
like real news sites.
Right. But what is the video? Can we see the video again?
There it
Let me
is.
see it again. Oh, see, stop. Hold on. This has been, now I remember. This has been debunked.
It has?
You know who debunked it? What's his face? Mick West. Mick West from metabunk.com. What they did was they changed the perspective from 1x to 2x. So when you're looking at something zoomed in, things move faster. Your sight picture is much quicker. When you're at normal, your sight picture slower. So like as you zoom in, everything looks faster. So when the thing moved out of frame so fast, it was because it had been zoomed in on, not because
okay.
it took off at some insane rate of speed.
In other words, the pilot was just fucking with the government?
No, they didn't know any better. When whoever released the video didn't look at it. These Metabunk guys looked at the video, and you can see all the numbers on the screen.
Right.
When you look at the video, you see like what his perspective
That's
is:
so
X1,
funny.
X2, and he points out that look here, it goes to X2, and then it just moves out of frame. It's not even that it
Yeah,
took
'cause you're-
off.
you're snapping in on it.
You're looking at it from a totally different perspective.
Yeah.
Now you're looking at it from a zoomed-in perspective.
That's interesting.
Yeah, see if you can find
Oh,
it.
that's so
Mick
disappointing.
I
West.
found his written.
It's got a bunch of
explanation
pictures.
it.
My dream was that it was going to be aliens, and their goal was they needed plastic.
He's got a bunch of photos in it. See if you can find the photos. He points them out.
That's what I was hoping. They were going to go like, our planet needs plastic. Do you have any? We'd be like, we have like
Dude, we
so
got
much.
tons.
Yeah,
Shit
in the
tons.
ocean, you can just take
Yeah.
it all. And then they just cleaned it all up, and things got better. Like they went to the Pacific garbage patch and just were like, and then they left. Yeah, the Pacific garbage patch keeps me up
There's
at night.
a kid who's got a solution to that. Like
What
a
is this?
young man who figured out a solution. God damn it! I'm supposed to be in contact with that fellow.
Now I'd be curious
too
to know
many
what that
emails.
solution is.
Some sort of a machine that like skims the ocean for plastic, and it collects all the plastic.
Huh.
Yeah, and I don't know what it's powered by. I want to say it's a solar powered thing. That was the concept behind it.
Like a Roomba?
Dutch student's giant ocean cleanup machine is going into production.
Wow.
Inventor says the technology will solve the marine plastic crisis, but some scientists are skeptical, as they should be. There are scientists. Boyan Slot.
Look at how much it's growing.
That's right. I was connected to him through
How much
email.
it's growing by?
Let me write it down.
8 million tons a year.
That's
nuts, dude.
insane. How you spell his last name?
SLAT.
Plastic is growing.
Yeah,
by
well,
8 million.
we
tons
never
a year.
thought about. We thought once we throw it away, oh, it's thrown away. They've got it. No, shit falls off. There's fucking dumps. They leave it sitting there.
Yeah,
Birds fly to the dump. They pick it up. They fly away with it. They don't know what it is.
The craziest thing is how like the ocean currents all lead to one place. You know,
Weird, right?
It's so weird.
It's weird that you could see it all swirling
Yeah, and
together.
it's like the size of Texas. I think they said.
And they say it breaks down all of that particles, or all the rather plastic, into these weird little particles.
Yeah, and that's why they're pulling fish out with stomachs full of plastic.
You fish out with it, and more birds. Birds are dying, and they're feeding it to their kids, and they find babies in the nest that have these plastic caps filled in their stomach. It's really horrible. Have you seen that?
There's the balloon.
To the
It's a
stars.
Party balloon. That's what they saw.
Dum. Oh yeah. Is that really what they saw?
That's what this says.
Stop
It's on
it.
his website. This is McWest's pictures.
Well, it might be that.
You're saying they were tracking a party balloon in an F-16?
Is that what it's supposed to be saying?
Yeah,
That
the
it was in an
explanation I had
F-16?
on the other website said that exactly what you were describing as I was reading it. Like the camera angles were off, and you can follow the angle with the clouds moving
Right.
with the balloon.
Well, once you zoom in on something, that's what happens. I mean, if you've ever looked through a binocular, if you're trying to hold a binocular, the more powerful the binoculars are, the more like the picture at the end seems shaky.
Yeah, it's same as
'cause you're
you
also
zoom in on
zoomed
your
in
phone. If we take a picture, same thing. It's like it's not
Right.
an optical zoom; it's a digital zoom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was the explanation for the bizarre behavior of that object. Apparently, it
That
was
is
just
so funny to me that it was a
too?
party balloon.
What's that, Jamie?
There's another one too that was like this was the day before he posted, which a second video similarly. I don't know if this was the one that everyone was talking
Dude,
about.
nobody
either, but-
wants UFOs to be more real than me.
That's why I was asking you about it.
Nobody. But I'm also I don't buy a lot of the thinking that goes behind these things, because people just want to think that it's real. They want to think it's real so bad that they're not looking at it completely objectively. If it is real, we got to know for sure, and there's no way you know for sure this way. This just doesn't seem like we know for sure. This seems more like what he's saying is correct. If you see the perspective shift and you see the way the thing moves shift.
But this is what we were talking about earlier about like the government and conspiracy. Like that's a perfect example. The government's like, we have no idea what this is, and we're confirming it was a UFO. And then guys who aren't in the government are like, yeah, it's a fucking balloon, dude.
Jamie, scroll back down. What does it say there? This little animation. It says the flare around the much closer engines rotate independently of the rotation of the plane. What does that mean? I'm not sure I get this. I think we're halfway in the middle of this page.
Yeah,
That's part of
yeah.
the problem. They're explaining something in a
'Cause
long,
it's infrared.
drawn out. Yeah. See, there's a lot of these things that have been proven to be horseshit, and people see the video footage and they think, "Oh my God, it's a UFO." Oh no, it turns out it's a oil thing that's on fire in the distance. Like, there's a lot of weird things that you see in these like real blurry infrared scans of shit or whatever that is, night vision scans.
Yeah.
I want to see some real shit where you look at it and you go, okay.
Yeah, definitive
That's a
proof.
fucking UFO.
Yeah.
Like, what is that?
But
Is that real? And if someone says that there's no way they could have faked that, then I'm curious. But right now, I just think too many people want it to be real.
Yeah, but for
so
the Pentagon,
bad.
the Pentagon sat on that for like 10 years and then released it. And no one in the Pentagon figured it out until like it got out into the private sector online, and some dude's like, yeah, it's a balloon, and you zoomed in on it, you fucking idiots. Look, it says 2x. That's my point about government
Right.
conspiracies. I'm like, yeah, it just seems like incompetence to me.
It could be.
Like nobody looked at that closer.
But
they were
that's
like, it's a
just the
UFO
people-
we've known for 10 years.
But that's just the people that were responsible for that were incompetent.
Sure.
I mean, do you think that you would give the fucking UFO searching job to anyone you wanted to do real shit? The UFO searching job is a job
That's
you give
fair.
to your friend's cousin.
That's fair.
You get him a job at the
That's
CIA.
fair.
You're
That's
like, listen,
fair.
bro.
Yeah, they're like,
you are
yeah.
going to be involved in a top secret operation. Huh? What do
Hey,
we got?
Wachowski, get in here. We got a job for you.
are going to be searching for UFOs. What do you know? What do you
Cheap as
know?
creep as boss.
Well, we're going to rely on you. You've been carefully selected.
Remember
they send
Spies-
this
remember Spies Like
fucking
Us?
stupid dude to interview people in their farms and shit that are all high on moonshine and crystal meth.
No, I saw it. I saw it. It was lit up like a goddamn candle. Remember that movie Spies Like Us with Dan Aykroyd
Yeah.
and Chevy Chase?
Yeah.
That's the premise of that movie is they're total fucking morons, so they use them as decoys.
That's gotta happen.
It's a really funny concept.
That's gotta happen. That must happen
They give
a
them a
lot.
fake mission and like, yeah, just go here in Russia, and they, and then like the Russians are looking at them, not the actual spies.
Isn't that what was the movie with Springtime for Hitler?
Oh,
with
the
Woody Allen,
producers.
the producers.
Yeah,
where
that's Mel Brooks.
Set, Mel Brooks. Sorry,
Yeah.
did I say Woody Allen?
Yeah.
Mel Brooks made a movie where they
pretty
set.
similar,
Well, not really.
but they both wrote for Sid
Yeah.
Caesar. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
there you go. It's about them making a play that they thought was going to be a total failure, and turns out to be a smash.
Yep.
They were trying to lose money.
Springtime for Hitler. They wrote the
because-
biggest bomb they could make because they figured out how to game the system. That if it bombed, they get all all
Yeah.
this reimbursement money,
Yes.
and everyone's walking out, and then all of a sudden, like a moment occurs where they think it's a comedy, and they start laughing
my
at it, and then like everyone's like, "Get back in here!" The act two. It's really funny.
That's
That
a
movie's
funny movie,
amazing,
man.
dude.
That's a
Zero
funny
Marcel
movie.
is the
Yeah.
guy. Yeah. Is it Gene Hackman too? Bialystock and Bloom?
God, is it
No, not Gene Hackman.
Hackman?
Gene Wilder. I mean,
Yes, it's Gene Wilder, I think.
I think
Isn't
it's
it?
the Bialystock and Bloom is their name.
Dude, I used to love Gene Wilder when he was paired up with Richard Pryor.
God, I'm such a Gene Wilder fan, dude. I love that
The
guy.
producers, yeah, look at him there.
Yeah.
But when he paired up with Richard Pryor, those
insane.
movies were magical, man.
Stir Crazy, and
Yeah.
Hear No Evil, See No Evil. They did a bunch of them.
They did do
Stir
a bunch
Crazy
of
was
them.
funny, and then when they were in prison together.
Yeah.
I just rewatched with my nephews Willy Wonka with Gene Wilder.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's fucking unreal
Yeah.
how good that guy is.
Oh, he was amazing.
Everything he did was and Blazing Saddles, one of my
Yeah.
favorites. Yeah.
Yeah, man. He's almost like a forgotten genius.
Yeah.
in
He
terms
just
of, like,
died. He just died last year.
You don't hear him talked about
Enough as much as he should
as
be.
much as he should be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's amazing. All
The camaraderie that he had with Richard Pryor too was just so
it
interesting.
was real. It felt real.
You remember when they walked into the prison like, that's right, we bad.
Yeah, we bad."
See if you can find
He's like,
that.
"Follow my lead." He's
That'll
like,
get us
yeah.
kicked off YouTube, right? Won't it? Probably. Somebody owns it.
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha.
These motherfuckers. Yeah.
Even if you play a clip.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, you get pulled.
Yeah, I had that my nightly show best.
There they are.
It's so funny.
That's right. We bad.
We bad.
Dude.
Yeah, that's Stir Crazy.
Richard Pryor is one of the few great comedians that I loved as much in movies. Look at him.
Yeah.
I loved as much in movies as I did seeing him doing stand up.
Did you
Look at him. Look at him.
They don't
Look-
mess with you.
Yeah.
look how bad Gene Wilder is at it?
Look at this. It's hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is so ridiculous.
Look how he's walking.
Like, they didn't know even, like movies back then were just so innocent.
They're also
know?
like scenes took so long. Like, look how long this walk is.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. This is not playing over YouTube, right? No. Okay. Okay. It's probably frustrating for people.
Fantastic.
What is it? The name of the? That's right.
Stir Crazy.
That's right. We bad. We don't take no shit. That's the. That's the name of the clip. If you want to watch it on YouTube.
Remember also like Richard Pryor, that movie with Jackie Gleason, The Toy?
Oh yeah.
That movie's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, he had a bunch of great.
That was
movies,
like
man.
so much of my childhood. Yeah, Brewster's Millions was fun.
Yeah. He was just a
John Candy, I think, is in Brewster's Millions.
just a funny fucking dude, man.
Yeah. Concept of Brewster's Millions is a great concept for a movie. He gets $30 million and he has to spend it all in a week, and he can't have any assets. And if he does it, he gets $300 million. Yeah, so it's like he's got to like just get rid of all this money as fast as he can. So
I
he's-
completely forgot about that movie. If you hadn't brought it up, like here's a freak out. Every year they make new movies. Movies don't go away,
Nope.
but every year they make new movies.
Yep.
Like movies just get lost in the shuffle.
Big time.
There's too many movies.
You
Like
know what-
the amount of movies
Yeah.
that you could just watch.
Uh huh.
Like, has there ever been a time where people had more access to shit to entertain
Content,
them.
just content.
Constant all day.
All
just
day.
sitting there glued, and it's just coming at you while you're completely immobile.
It's insane. I mean, like when you're flying on a plane now, right?
Yeah,
Just-
hundreds of movies right there.
Yeah.
Pick a movie.
It just plays in your
Yeah.
seat. I talk to people about this all the time. Just like, like people used to just sit. Like I was at dinner with my girlfriend the other day. I left my phone at the table. I went to the bathroom, and for some reason there was a line for the bathroom. There were like 2 co-ed bathrooms, and there was like people waiting. So I didn't have my phone. I just stood there, and it was like much longer than I thought it would be. And I'm just standing there with nothing to read, nothing to do, and it's like.
Yeah. It's bullshit.
And then I'm like, this is just And I'm like, this is just how we used to live. Like I couldn't even wrap my brain around it.
Well, it's how some people still live, like Ari Shafir with his flip phone.
Really?
It's how he's living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He just keeps that stupid fucking thing in his
Yeah,
pocket.
Tell has a flip phone too.
All those
Yeah.
How's
savages.
he on Instagram though?
Yeah, he's got a
Post on,
iPad.
Like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
post
So
on his
yeah,
iPad.
that's kind of a workaround, though. You know, that's when people are like, "I don't have TV." I'm like, "Do you have the internet?" They're like, "Yes." I'm like, "Fuck you. You have TV." Just because you don't have a cable box in your house doesn't mean you don't have
Hey,
TV.
man, I've disconnected
No,
from
bro, I don't have
TV.
to. Do you have high-speed internet? Yes. All right. Fuck you.
I
You
watch
lie.
HBO Go only.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I know it's not TV. It's HBO, but it's still TV.
It is weird, right? That everybody wants to be the guy that tells you that they have abandoned television. I just read a lot of books, man.
Yeah,
Just
really?
A little bit better than you.
Yeah, a little bit.
Just been
That's
reading
like
a lot.
that was like the whole hipster movement.
Mostly
you know?
I eat organic and just read.
Well, I just make my own pickles, but yeah, I guess buying them is fine. You're like, fuck off, dude.
I make my own shoes.
Yeah, I'm a cobbler and a pickler.
And I tan the hides.
I do think that there's a periods of time where like things are at their peak, like LPs for
Yeah.
music in your home. But it's
sure.
Again, the reality of like, sure, it's fun to have a record player and some records, but like at the end of the day, if I'm gonna like listen to music, I just throw it on Spotify and it just plays forever.
Yeah.
It's like, it's fun, the novelty of like putting on a record and listening and then taking it off and flipping it. But if the activity you're doing is listening to music and you want to listen to an album all the way through, but if I wanted to like play a tune for you, I can find it, like
Right.
find the line on the record that's that song,
Yeah.
like counting lines. It's just, there's just, I don't know. I like that people have a tendency to try to keep stuff in its pure form, but at the same time, you're like, whatever, man. You don't have a Victrola in your house, It's
But
just
a
like,
Victrola's not good.
doesn't sound good, yeah.
Like Henry Rollins would give you a different perspective on it because he's a
Well,
fanatic
the best
about
sound.
music.
Well, Neil Young too. Neil Young had a whole website he created for music to sound to download music in its like raw,
Yeah.
full LP form.
Well, he
digitally.
actually had a device that he was
that's
selling.
what it was, like a Zune or something.
Yeah, it was one of those things, and I don't know how successful it was, but for the audiophile, it was like one of the best sort of devices for digital
I
music.
thought it was just a website, but yeah,
No, he had a
because
real-
it's,
he had
because
a real
it's not compressed.
device.
It's not
Yeah.
compressed music.
Yeah. Rollins has a crazy setup in his house, though, and he loves records, and he's got these fucking speakers. What did we find out how much those speakers are? They're like $250,000 or something
Wow,
ridiculous.
I was gonna say like $15,000.
Dude, no.
$250,000
He's got
speakers.
something bananas in
That's
his house.
insane.
He's got some crazy setup, and so he'll like sit around and just like play music some days. Just sit down and just play some music and sit and listen to music like that. Look at his speakers, and there's all his records.
shit.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's an intense experience.
Yep.
Like that's something very. I mean, I don't even think that has to be allowed. I think what you're getting out of that is just like this pure sound. It's not that Henry Rollins is destroying his neighbor's life every day with his music.
It's
I think
you're
it's just a
getting every
purity.
level of the music. You're getting like every track, every.
I bet if we went to Henry Rollins' house and he played music for us, we could understand what the fuck he's talking about.
Sure. But
You
again,
know?
like, I love music, but to me, I don't know if maybe my hearing's not as good. I'm like, whatever.
I don't know
It's
if you've
fucking
ever
playing.
experienced it. Like, I've never experienced those things, but
Mm-hmm.
I've experienced like a really good car stereo. Like where you play like Whole Lotta Love and you hear the cymbals all around you.
Yeah. It's badass. Yeah. It's like it's what headphones give you.
But you hear it like move around the
That's cool.
car.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could hear that in a car stereo sometimes, or good headsets.
Good headphones you can get.
Yeah, they kind of go like these, like over the ear ones.
Yep.
You can hear some shit that you never heard before in your car.
But that's where that Neil Young thing comes in, because if it's like a compressed iTunes file,
Yeah.
it's not really
Right,
there
right,
anyway, because
right.
they blended all the
Yeah.
all the stuff into like one track.
Well, Jamie, you've tried to explain the whole record sound, right? It's like a warmer sound, isn't the idea?
A little
behind
bit.
it?
Yeah, I mean, it's, I was gonna say that what you were just describing is they used to sell that as like in stereo or like mixed in stereo before there was even stereo's available. It just means it's a left and right mix. So you're hearing things mixed.
Yeah,
Both ears.
versus mono, which
Right.
is just everything
all together.
Flat
stuck
one.
together. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you like play around in a GarageBand, you can really start to understand what it is because you can lay down several different tracks of different music, different instruments, different things, and then if you want, you can mix them all together into one strip of content, and then like that's. But if you keep them all separately, they're all playing it as a sort of as more of a symphony. You know,
Yeah.
so it's really just, but it's a much bigger file. But if you compress it into one, then you can make like an MP3 out of it.
Right. And then it
just
sounds just flatter.
Sure.
Yeah.
But it's it gives you the ability to like raise the drums or lower the
Yeah.
So you can see why if you're a real audiophile or a real musician, you're like, that's the only way I want to hear music.
Yeah, I could totally get it.
Yeah.
I mean, I totally get, especially someone like Rollins, who's a musician himself and probably has like a deeper appreciation for the sounds in their purest forms.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what octaves are? Do you understand what octaves are?
No.
So like if you look at a piano, it's really only like 8 keys over and over and over and over again. So there's like a C, but it's on that keyboard 8 times.
Okay.
So if you hit all the C's together, they kind of harmonically sound really good. That's when you can kind of tell that something either feels bad or it kind of sounds weird when it's not harmonically good. There are times maybe you would use that. And hearing, those harmonics are also hertz, like frequencies. They kind of go on forever. Our human hearing stops around 20,000. If our adult males probably has been ruined a little bit, and it's a little bit less. But that's when you have these giant speakers. They kind of allow the sounds that even we can't hear to exist because they affect the ones we can hear. And when you're compressing them, those sounds kind of get chopped off because you don't really need them. And that's when digital music can kind of sound bad, and then this radio or record quality, I don't mean radio.
Yeah, that's why the
quality stuff.
resurgence of
Wow.
records came back. Yeah.
That's it. It's also people love the ritual of like laying the record down the turntable, putting the needle on the crack, sitting back.
Yeah.
Hey man, they made this in '79.
Yeah. It's
They
also
were the last remaining people from Woodstock.
there is like a component of like rock music that just peaked at a certain time and sounds a certain way.
Right.
That like and I know Zeppelin like stole a lot of stuff, but there's something about that like even like the Creedence like clear like those dudes who were just their voices were like
Right.
just like that like
That was a real original band too.
yeah and
There's a bad moon. on the
and then
rise.
what are those dudes
Fortunate Son. That's another great
yeah
one.
Fortunate yeah and who sings Simple Man what do you call
Allman Brothers?
No,
Oh, Leonard
Leonard
Skinner.
Skinner. Yeah,
Oh,
Leonard
Simple
Skinner.
Man, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah, dude.
that's
Leonard
like one
Skinner
of
had
the
some
most
all-time
fucked up
classics.
stories of all time, though. The way those guys died.
Yeah.
Do you know that one of them survived the crash and got shot by a guy whose land he landed on?
Yeah. Yeah. Did he survive the bullet?
No, I think like in other words,
that's
like
what
he
killed him?
Died. Everyone died in a plane crash, and this guy's like, "Holy shit, I survived!" Fucking shot.
Oh my God.
It's like the worst thing.
That's so crazy.
Yeah,
Where'd they crash?
I think in like a swamp or something.
That's
like
right. Now I remember the story, but why did I think that the guy survived the bullet?
I don't
Imagine
know.
that shit
Maybe
getting
I'm
shot.
maybe I'm wrong. I thought he died on site.
You might be right.
Yeah.
I have no idea. But
Like, holy
imagine.
shit, we survived.
Boom.
Yeah,
Jesus
it's the
Christ.
worst.
Fucking plane crashes. Killed Rocky Marciano too. Buddy Holly, the Big Bopper.
Big Bopper. That's Richie Valens.
Uh,
Selena.
ooh, no. Selena got killed by her assistant.
There was somebody who crashed in a plane.
the
Aaliyah. I'm sorry.
You racist.
Yeah.
You're a racist.
They both end in
How
Stevie
quick-
Ray Vaughan helicopter crash.
Yeah, how quick are people to pull the racist trigger these days? They're just ready. Oh yeah. I got one.
But sometimes
I
you
got
do
one.
something. Like I had one the other day where I was at a New York comedy club in New York, and the manager there's this guy Drew, he's an awesome guy, and he's a black dude. And I was leaving, and I said goodnight to him, but I said goodnight to another black dude. They were like basically wearing the same thing, but all
Right.
the comics in the bar, it was like a bunch of black dudes.
racist.
They were like, oh, I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm like, I guess I'm racist, Everybody was laughing, but it was one of those moments where we're like, yeah, I have no excuse. I wasn't paying attention, but at the same time, I was like, see you, Drew, and he was like, I'm Dre. I'm like, I'm an idiot,
Oh,
and,
no.
and I don't think that's, I obviously like. It's not because I can't tell black people apart. I just was like on my phone,
fucked
half
up.
paying attention.
Yeah.
It was like peripheral vision. But
But
when
if you
those moments
thought-
happen, it's just funny to be like, yeah, you got me, man. It's just in my DNA. You know, like,
If you thought it was a white guy and it was a different white guy, nobody would give a
nobody
shit.
would give a shit. Yeah, but I get it. Like it's at least in the comedy world, you make a joke out of it. And like the real
Yeah.
world, I'm at a comedy club, everyone's fucking around. But in the real world, no, you do that, you look like a dick.
We're in one of the last groups of people that do something for a living that you can get away with saying ridiculous shit to each other, and we all like it.
And I think it's dying though.
Really?
I'm noticing,
Comics?
depending on who's in the room, comics. Like there's certain comics now that you can say stuff and they get offended, and you're going, "Well, I'm out." Like that's how I always felt about writers' rooms.
No.
The best thing about a writers' room in a comedy show is the ability to say stuff that you cannot say in civilization.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
Because even just to jumpstart
Yeah.
the room, the horrible things you can say.
But do you worry about doing that now, though? Would you worry?
I don't worry about it, but I am much more conscious of, like, if we're sitting at the table at the Comedy Cellar, I'm much more conscious of sitting around the table.
and
Absolutely.
just not saying something completely outrageous for just the jolt of it, which a lot of people used to do.
Well, yeah, I'm one of those people. If I'm
Yeah.
like hanging out with like Rich Voss and Keith
Right.
Robinson and those
Yeah.
things, fucking
Yeah.
unleash the
For
hounds.
sure.
You know, but if there's
For
like
sure.
newer people I don't know,
Right.
or I'm just going, especially younger comics, I'm like, there's like that millennial component where like they don't get that part of this is saying absurd things and pushing it a little bit on stage. And you get a lot of groans. I'm sure you get like that groany thing happens to people if they think you're going down the wrong path. Ooh,
Yeah, for
like, That's not a
sure.
reaction. Like that's just what are you oohing?
Trying to keep you in check.
Yeah.
Don't go against my values.
I can't believe you said that out loud. It's like that.
Hey,
That's what, yeah, exactly. Well,
Bring it back.
My professor would not allow that thought.
bring
you
it
know?
back to where I want it.
That's why I thought Chappelle's two specials, the last two, were so good.
Yeah.
And he makes that point. He's like, our job. It's our job. If you
Yeah.
see a comic not doing that, like he's not doing his job.
Yeah, the job is to push the line.
I agree. But look, there
And
are
to be
days
funny.
where you're like, it's exhausting. Oh, of course. If you're not
Yeah.
funny, you're wasting everybody's time. Like you have to be funny first. That's the goal. The goal isn't to go up there and make fucking some remarkable point and go, good night, everybody. You know, like think about that. But
That used to be a thing, right?
and that's one to grow on. No, I think you got to be funny, but in being funny, if you can't, nudge people a little bit, it gets boring.
Well, especially each other. That's what people don't understand. If they really listen to the way we talk to each other, like one of the things that people love is some of the podcasts that I do with Ari and Tom and Bert, because they're so mean to each other.
Yeah.
Like Ari calls Bert, what did he call him? An idiot fuck. He goes, "It doesn't work that way, you idiot fuck." And it's just like. And
Yeah.
for a regular person in a regular meeting
Yeah.
in some fucking insurance office,
It's not
like
gonna
that
fly.
would be the end of the conversation.
Yeah.
Human resources get called. Someone will get a settlement.
Completely.
Yeah.
I mean, I found that the difference between the Daily Show writer's room and the Nightly Show writer's room was we went out of our way and we made it the most diverse writing room you could have ever been in. But that also caused problems because now all of a sudden you got like a right-wing dude and like a sensitive Brooklyn person, and then like they're saying it, and so half the time I was like, okay, everyone stop. Like you're right, Brown is an Ivy League school, but I see what you're saying about the fraternities there. It was that kind of stuff, and it was like, and I had to kind of
Political discussions?
Well, just like people would get heated about something they were passionate about, and I'd have to like blow the whistle and go, everyone stop, like we're fucking around, and people would get upset.
man.
People would like, the kind of shit like
Isn't that interesting?
somebody would pitch. Something one day happened where somebody pitched a joke, and another person's phone had as their ringer or their alert for a text cricket noise. So somebody pitched something in the meeting, and it was just a shitty pitch, which we all done in a writer's room. And all of a sudden it was like chirp 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 chirp.
Oh
chirp.
my
And I went,
God.
man, that was so bad. The fucking crickets came in and. Everyone left, but then later on, I found out that the writer was upset, and the guy who had crickets on his phone, they had a fucking thing about why your phone have crickets. You fucked me. And I was going, guy, oh shit, no, you're a great writer. It was just a cricket joke, like but it's. I don't know. So that with the Daily Show was not that way. The Daily Show, like when I first started working there, and I was like a production assistant, and I'd go into a writer's room, I'd come out like wanting to cry. That's how mean those guys were to me. I'd be like, I'd have a tape to show them. I'm like, I got some footage to show you guys. They'd be like, suck a dick. Like they were just rip. It was like going to a roast every day. They were like, that shirt's stupid. That thing is dumb. And I'd be like, okay, you guys
They
are
just
all
made
right.
fun of things
Just
constantly.
Constantly.
Yeah.
And then
that's
when
why
I
the show
became
was
that,
so good.
yeah, when I became that that guy. I was like, yeah. I'm like, eat shit, dude. I ate it. Yeah, have some, because you got hazed and then you got to the next level and you hazed the next guy.
But in a writer's room, is that a necessary way to think? To fuck with each other?
I think it's
in that
necessary.
kind of a show, it's not.
I think it's necessary because you're watching a lot of somber shit. You're watching news. You're watching
Right.
C-SPAN. You're watching speeches.
And you're trying to make funny out of it.
Yeah, so you gotta like come in there silly.
Right,
So sometimes it's
right.
just getting that energy in the room. It's like a warm up,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's like doing warm up, like having a warm up comic. It's like you gotta get you got to get the energy up. We're gotta look at. You can't watch it and go, oh my god, this is terrible. This is about war.
Right.
You gotta watch it, and be like, hey, nice shirt. I always want to do a show called. I always want to do a spoof called. Warm up comedians in cars getting coffee, and it's like just driving around the city, be like, hey, look at this asshole, nice tie, and like dudes at traffic lights are like, hey, why don't you stop sooner, old man, and but it's that kind of thing where sometimes you just fucking, it's just getting the
Just
energy
trying to
going.
get the
Exactly,
comedy
the comedy
ball rolling.
Yeah, but those
Yeah.
guys were mean. They were a lot of them were like old grizzle stand-ups, and they were mean.
It's
But-
different. I was going to say it's different than like a sitcom writer's room too, because sitcom writers' room they have to think about character development,
Sure.
where the plot's going.
Yep.
You guys are reacting to the plot.
Yeah,
and
there's
just
no
trying to-
Bible or
yeah,
anything, yeah.
yeah. So it's almost like you have to be more aggressive in that position. Everything is like it's almost like everything is a reaction to an affront. Like to affront to your sensibilities, to
Yep.
your information, to
and trying to look at it like not as a human,
Right.
Like you can't look at it as like a reasonable minded person. You have to look at it like, what's the obscure take on this? What's the way to make this funny? So you can't come in and go, like you can't watch the State of the Union and go, wow, that is a good point. That is dangerous. You have to watch the State of the Union and go, wait, did he just say, what did George Bush say one year? Human-animal hybrids, like things like that. Whereas like, we got to watch out for human-animal hybrids. And we're like, well, let's have some fun with that
Did Bush
phrase.
say that?
Yeah, he said
Was
it.
that recent?
No, that was
While he was
State
in
of the
office?
Union, probably like 03 or something. Ones that I just remember, like we got to have 50 tons of gas on a mustard farm, 50 tons of mustard gas on a farm, whatever. Like these little weird phrases as he was trying to sell the war to people,
Oh.
And then we would grab them and make little montages out of them or create the scenario of what he's talking about.
It's a fucking human hybrids thing. Where's he getting that? Wasn't there something that they were talking about doing some research really recently? They were gonna make a human pig hybrid
Yes,
because they're gonna
No, they wanna
harvest the
harvest
organs.
Yeah, they want to grow organs.
That's crazy.
Yep.
What if they give you a better one? Like, what if they give you a heart and it's like 50% better?
Yeah, they're like, hey, you want a bigger dick? We just grew one on a pig. You want a pig dick?
What if they give you a pig heart, but then you start thinking like a pig?
Yeah, that could happen.
Like you realize like some of the thinking takes place in the heart. Now
But
you
I
have a
think
pig
what they
heart.
actually do is grow a human heart in a pig is the idea. Like I think they
Right.
grow human organs in
Right.
the pig, so it's not a pig's heart.
But maybe the pig memories get into your
Yeah,
human-
that would make sense.
human
You get some
organ.
pig memories.
Dum dum dum.
Yeah, and then
So
all
what
you
is it? Hold on, go up to the top so we could read the thing.
All you remember is
Human
being
pig
in a lab.
hybrids created in the lab. Here are the facts. Ooh. Whenever you hear that, they've already been making people out of pigs, right? By the time you hear that, by the time it gets to us, I mean, how far down the ladder are we on the information food chain?
Yeah.
I mean, the people
at this
that
pig lungs.
Ooh, their pig lungs are breathing. What in the fuck?
Yeah, this is nuts.
Watch pig lungs filter human blood in a lab. Holy
Wow.
shit, man.
I have a Google alert set for that. Watch pig lungs filter human blood in a lab.
You'll get overwhelmed. It's every day. They just don't stop with the pig blood.
Yeah.
and
Well, they
pig
once grew a
lungs,
human ear on
blood.
a rat, didn't they? They grew a human ear on the back of a mouse.
Yeah, I don't know what that was about though. I mean, that was about.
think it's
was
like
that a
replace
proof of
people's
concept
ears.
thing? I don't think they were taking the ear off the rat. I think they were like trying to show that they could do that,
Mm-hmm.
and now they do it to people. Like they'll grow you a ear in your forehead, and then you keep that for like a couple of years.
Yeah.
And then they cut it off and then put it on your ear.
But
I'm
that's-
not joking.
But you don't want it on your forehead.
that's where it would grow best.
And you put it on your back.
Yeah, this guy had a nose growing on his forehead.
Stop.
Yes, he did.
Photoshop.
That's Photoshop.
No, it's not Photoshop. He had an accident where his nose was severely damaged. So they grew another nose on his forehead and then removed it from his forehead. See?
That
That's
looks
real.
Photoshopped. That's
No, it's-
insane.
How dare you distrust me?
I believe you.
Just
I'm
trying
just
to tell
telling
you
you
the
it looks
truth.
Photoshopped.
So this dude had a fucked up nose. They grew him this nose on his forehead. Oh, it's our friend Philly DeFranco. So see if he's got any actual footage of Homeboy's nose.
Pictures. That's what I was hoping.
That's it?
Yeah. That's what I was hoping for.
I'm pretty sure that's a real story.
That's crazy.
What is that? guy's growing a hand out of his foot. Oh, his hand got that. Sometimes they'll do that if like your hand got severely damaged. Hand kept alive on a leg.
Oh.
Okay.
That's so fucking weird.
I'm good. What does that guy got?
An ear on his
He's got his ear growing out of his arm to replace his other ear. All right, bro. They're going to be able to grow that shit in a lab soon. It's going to be an interesting fucking time. And I like your idea that we think that we're missing, like, what comes next, that we're going to miss it.
Yeah.
Because it seems like things are happening at such a crazy rate that if you did check out now, you might just miss immortality.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you might. Or you might miss downloading your brain.
Yeah.
They're working
Look
on
at this.
that.
Look at this.
Downloading your conscience.
She's growing
What
a horn.
the fuck is that?
Screw a horn. Horn blew out of her head.
What?
A shit horn.
It looks like she just took a dump out of her
She's
head.
got a shit horn. Could you imagine if this poor lady lived in like fucking 1800s? They'd shoot her right in the head with a musket.
yeah.
This demon woman, you know?
But also, how do you let your shit horn get that big? Like the second it's out of your head, you go into the
Do you think
doctor.
anybody ever grabbed it and rode that face? Do you think anybody ever got busy holding on to that thing? That'd be a hell of a handle. Do you think it's hard like a rhino? Or do you think it's like hair? Like one giant fucked up clump of hair that just
What is
plowed
it?
through the hair pore.
Catanus horn. That's fucking nuts.
Yeah, that guy's he's in a Stephen King movie. Look at that. Guy's got a horn. Okay, no one would ever let that person live in another world. Look at that, it's crazy. Some people just grow horns. Yeah. How many people? What in the fuck,
How
man?
do I not know about this?
How many
horn?
people
There's
grow
a,
horns?
Multiple.
Dude, that's crazy. This lady's a giant one poking out of her head like
Is
a...
it me or is it a lot of Asians with horns?
Hey, don't be racist.
just-
I've already told him before and after the podcast, yet he continues to talk about the differences in races
I'm observing.
in a very,
You would
very
think, I'm not
demeaning
lying, you'd
way.
think it'd be more Jews, you know? They're supposed to be the race with the horns.
Oh my God, I can't believe you. What's that guy's ear? What's
Those
going
are
on
my
with that?
people.
Guy's got a universe living in his ear.
Wow.
Whoa, they have horns coming out of their face.
Holy shit.
Whoa, some people have horns coming out of their fucking cheeks. This is nuts.
Cheek horns are crazy.
Who gets them? Make that bigger so my stupid eyes can read it. What does that say?
Between 60 and 70.
Cutaneous.
Yeah.
How do you say, is that how you say
I
it?
think
guess so.
cutaneous
Horns are more common in older patients, with the peak incidence those between 60 and 70. They're usually common in males and females, though there's a higher risk of the lesion being malignant in men. They're more common in people with fairer skins. Huh. That's the Asian thing, I guess, huh? Would you consider that? But some Asians don't have fairer skin, like the South Pacific Asians.
It's not. It was just that that website had more Asians. You know?
Wow, man. How weird. People get fucking horns.
Yeah.
You know?
I just think it's weird that you don't deal with it right away.
Imagine trying to explain to someone 1,000 years ago if you had a horn that you didn't do anything. Like, I swear to God, I didn't make a deal with the devil. You carry the mark.
Definitely get
The
drowned.
mark
You're
of the
definitely
beast. It grows from his head. We must smite him. We cannot have him sleep where my children sleep.
That would probably happen in like 1962. Not
I
even
heard he does not sleep. I heard him on my rooftop last night. On his haunches, breathing heavy.
Can I run to the?
Yeah. Use the little boy's room.
Boys room. I'll be right back. My nitro came right through me.
Rory can't handle his nitro. That is a fucked up thing, man. That some people get horns and some people just look like
Eye horn.
Kate Moss.
Finkel's
Eye horn. She's got an eye horn. Oh. Kate Upton is what I was looking for. Kate Moss came out. Whoa, look at that lady's face. Okay, don't do this to me, Jamie. We don't need to do this, staring at people's horns. Just if you ever think that you're unlucky, ladies and gentlemen, just Google horns. This guy's got a horn coming out of his nose.
That's gross.
Yeah, that's not good.
Off the lip.
Guy's got a horn coming off his lip.
That looks
Holy
like herpes.
shit. If that's herpes, then we have a real problem. Houston, we got a real problem. This is disturbing. Cut it out.
Yeah, how long do you think they'd grow for? Or that it takes to get that long?
I don't know. It's a good
A week?
question. Like, do you let that go? Do you let it go? Like, when do you go to the doctor? If you got a fucking horn. But a lot of those people, they like that one guy that had a horn growing out of the back of his head. That guy looked like he was in a very, very rural area with dirt ground.
There's one on a cat.
This cat has a
That's
horn.
like a problem.
That's a dog, bro.
It's this cat.
Is that a cat? I guess its nose. I thought its nose was that black spot. Wow, what is that? Oh, that's that dude that had that
The
fungus.
tree thing.
Yeah, he had that horrible fungal infection, like warts that covered his whole body and made him look like a tree. Wow. Dude. I mean, what in the fuck is that? That's like a life form that's consuming another life form, like the barnacles on a pole that's stuck in the ocean. I mean, it almost is like that. Like these things are growing on his skin. Like, what is that?
Fungus and spore.
It's a wart, right? A wart's a disease.
Yeah.
So if it's a disease, then that disease is actually growing on his skin. That's what all that is.
Yeah, it says warts.
Oh, God. Motherfucker. Nature can be ruthless. Imagine being that dude. And you're like, why me? Like, what kind of shit luck is this? We're looking at this guy who's got, there's a few people that have it apparently. They have this tree disease where it looks like they grow, it's like a wart. A wart disease. It gets completely out of control. The guy died.
Described it as the cutaneous horned skin.
Oh,
all
wow.
over
So it's the
skin.
same thing?
Yeah.
It's just all over
You know
his
what
skin.
that actually looks like
Look at
is
that.
That's not real.
That's not
no,
real.
that's the guy from
Look at that, but that's
John-
real. Guys, his skin has become like, he's become like a beast.
it's like you watch Game of Thrones?
Yes.
That
so
stone stone skin disease?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
It does look exactly like that.
That's weird.
Fuck, it's weird.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what Medusa myth came from. People getting that, you know?
Right.
Oh, like snakehead?
Right. Maybe it just got distorted over the years to be like you froze like a stone, but instead of just you were just covered like a rock. Yeah, I mean, a disease like that, if you got that shit 1,000 years ago, people would absolutely be convinced you were cursed.
Yeah.
Like something did that to you. A demon possessed you.
Well, think about like the logic to early medicine, you know?
Yeah.
It's like your head hurts. We should let some air out of it. You know, like it was all that kind of shit.
They drill holes in your head.
Yeah.
How about
probably a little
someone had a
pressure in there.
seizure? They thought you were possessed.
Yeah.
Like if you had a seizure. They're like, the devil's inside
Remember that
her. Hold her down.
The old Steve Martin sketch on SNL. I'm the barber. Remember that? He was like
No.
a medieval barber, which is like their medicine man. You know, he's like, trust me, huh? Who's the barber here? We're just going to drain your face. You know, if like it's, you know, all of his remedies were just death.
I watched The Exorcist again the other night. Whoa. They'd go through the head.
That's what a lobotomy was.
They go through the eyeball.
right through your eye.
Right through the
Your
eye
eye?
corner.
I thought that was going up your. Oh wow! I
No,
thought it was
they
going up
just-
their nose.
And then they just scramble it.
Stir it around. And then pull it
Imagine.
out.
Oh Jesus
Imagine.
Christ!
What a great idea.
Jesus Christ!
What a
And
great idea.
No anesthesia.
No anesthesia. Oh,
Just
they put you
stick
under.
a spike in my eye.
I think they put you under.
Sometimes they didn't, I think.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Sometimes they didn't. Sometimes they just nuked your brain while you're sitting there. They're scrambling it around. Just imagine that they did that to
What
people.
like what year are they doing it that way?
A lot.
Dude, they did it a lot.
the 1900s.
Go to that photo of that kid right above where your cursor is. Right there. Bam. Whoa. Whoa. They lobotomized that kid. Look at his eyes are all
the
swollen up
fuck
from the
is-
blood. Holy shit. They did it to a kid.
Nuts, dude.
They did it to a kid?
It's like he just needed some Adderall.
Holy shit.
There was I feel like there was a place they were doing them so often that they couldn't even do as many as they needed. There were hundreds a day.
What?
Yeah, I'll look it up real quick.
Yeah, please do. Oh my God. That's insane. Can you imagine that they thought that that was a good thing to do?
It's insane.
And they thought that was a good thing to do during the time where you can take pictures.
Yeah.
Like these are photographs.
Cameras existed.
Yeah, cameras
so pretty
existed.
modern era.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
And they
Well,
were
that was
just
going on, and lobotomies were going on. Like one of the Kennedys had a lobotomy.
What?
Yeah, there's a Kennedy sister who had a lobotomy.
For real?
Yeah, that shit was going on into like the 50s and 60s. Remember?
Hundreds was an
One flew over the cuckoo's nest.
Yeah.
It's like the end of the movie.
Did they lobotomize him at the end of the movie,
Yeah,
or did
I
they
think that-
electric shock him?
Well, he was kind of done. He was like frothing out the mouth.
Yeah.
I don't know if they did it with.
I think it was electric shock, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I don't know if it was the same outcome.
Okay. Look at this. During
In
its heyday in the
1940s
1940s and 1950s, lobotomy was performed on some 40,000 patients
Unreal.
in the United States and around 10,000 in Western Europe. Holy shit. The procedure became popular because there was no alternative and because it was seen to alleviate several social crises, overcrowding in psychiatric institutions, and the increasing cost of caring for mentally ill patients. So they couldn't take care of them, so they just scrambled them and fed them gruel.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy was doing 20 to 25 a day. So like one every hour.
Unlike
so it was not
unlike
hundreds.
now when we just let them wander the streets.
What the fuck, man? What the fuck, man? That's crazy how many people that is.
Yeah, look up the Kennedy. I think it's one of like JFK's sisters got a lobotomy.
Dude, I was in Fresno recently. I was doing a gig.
There it is, Kennedy lobotomized.
I was doing a gig in Fresno.
Rosemary Kennedy.
1918. Mentally impaired. Family.
Yeah.
So what I was saying is I was doing a gig in Fresno, and there's this giant population of people living on the streets out there. Like, you go down the streets, it's just like a Skid Row type deal.
Wow.
Where you're like, everywhere you look, to the right and the left is all homeless people, like a homeless
like a tent
community.
city.
Yeah, very
Wow.
similar. They have carts set up, things laid over them. They're living underneath them, garbage everywhere, and you're like, holy shit.
Wow.
And then I found out that Louis Theroux did a documentary on it. Is that it? From Fresno. Yeah. And then I found out that Louis Theroux did a documentary on it, and that he said that Fresno is the meth capital of the world.
Wow.
Yeah. See if you can find that. But it was real weird, man.
It is weird.
Weird when
Especially that does not look like an American city.
It was weird.
Yeah.
And you realize, like, wow, these people got fucked. They got stuck in this terrible situation, and now they become this thing that people pity when they drive by.
Yeah.
Lingering on the side of the road.
Luckily we
The
have
city addicted to crystal meth. That's what it is.
luckily we have Christians who will come help them.
Yes, they'll help.
We're a country full of Christians
And
who want to help
Mormons.
these people.
What did it say? 2009.
Yeah.
So it was in 2009 that it aired, and it's probably gotten even worse since the last.
Yeah. I had
9
no idea it
years.
was that bad.
Yeah,
That's insane.
dude, it was weird driving around there. Fun shows though, nice people.
I was going to ask you that. How's the crowd?
Fun. They were fun. I
Yeah.
did 2 shows. 2 shows there. 2 shows in Bakersfield. Had a great time, man. But
Yeah.
the places that I don't go to normally, I'm never there.
Yeah.
So it was like,
I'm going back to Comedy Works in Denver soon. It's a fucking awesome
what a
club.
great place.
Yeah, I got a couple fun gigs coming up.
did you film there?
No, but I showcased there. For,
Right. That's
my
when you were
hour.
there the night before
you
that I was
yeah.
there.
Yep.
No, or the night of, right?
Well,
You
it
had
was
the
I
earlier
did
show?
I did a show Thursday, and then I did an early show on Friday before
That's
you.
right.
That was the one where
That's
Chappelle
right.
came out.
That was crazy.
That was so fucking
How fun was that?
That was so fun.
We were hanging out, and I got off stage, and Chappelle was just in the green room. I was like, "What are you doing, man?" He goes, "Oh man, just hanging around." I go, "You want to go up? Should I?" Like, fuck yeah! Hold on a
Should I?
second.
Yeah.
And I ran back out and pulled the people back to their seats.
Yep. I was sitting in the crowd watching. It was awesome.
That was amazing.
Sometimes he'll come in at the Comedy Cellar and do like 4 hours. So when he first got on stage, I was with my girlfriend. I was like, "We're gonna be here a while," you know. And then
I don't
he
think
did
he'll
like
do
no, he
that
did
as
like
much
yeah, he did like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Just like worked on a bunch of new stuff. It's really
Yeah.
fun. It's
That's-
also just cool that you let him do it because a lot of people want Chappelle coming out after they just killed the show, you know.
No, I love
But
that
yeah,
guy.
he's awesome.
I wanted to watch too.
Yeah, he was amazing.
I think
You had, I mean, your hour is awesome too, man. I still like quote stuff from your hour about like vegan cats and all that.
Oh,
It was
that.
your older stuff, yeah. But like you had some like just murderous stuff in
Thanks,
that hour.
man.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get this new one out of the way.
When are you doing it?
April. So you said that you did one, and you it was
taped it
supposed to be on
May.
Showtime.
Yeah, I
you were
thought it
really
was gonna-
happy with it.
I thought it was going to go to Showtime, but then like the deal kind of got funked up, and now I own it, and I don't know. It's good. I'm really proud of it. It's like a really good hour. I worked hard on it, you know. I wrote a lot of jokes, and I went on the road like nonstop the year before, and just
Have
every
you thought
weekend.
about Amazon?
Yeah, I've thought about a lot of those places. My people are looking around. You know, they're looking at like some options of places to send it, and you know, it's just a slow process. Like the
Right.
process of getting people to watch it first. You know, when you send somebody something to watch, like they're like, sure, and then you got to nag them. You know, so they're working
Yeah.
on it. There's a couple of people that may be interested, and
Jamie,
at some
didn't you
point I might
say-
just put it out. You know,
Yeah. Jamie, didn't you say that Amazon Prime, something like 50% of the households have Amazon Prime? Didn't you say something like that?
Yeah.
I think when you have Amazon Prime, you get video. Like, you can watch videos for free.
yeah.
I think we'd have to let people know, like, some of the resources that are available. But
know.
I feel like Amazon is starting to do comedy specials now.
Oh, they
which
are?
is great. If you're not getting one from Netflix. Or HBO or Comedy Central,
Yep.
you know, 64% of U.S. households have an Amazon Prime. Like, dude,
bananas, dude.
we just got to figure out how to get those people to watch comedy specials.
Well, I also do feel that. Well, I also do feel like you got on Netflix before it was a thing. You
I
know?
got on Netflix in 2005.
Yep.
That was when I did my very first special. I did on Netflix, and then we sold it to Showtime. It was the opposite.
Right. But I'm saying,
Yeah.
so like the way I think of it now is like, what is that thing now? Like, what is, what's the apartment that's cheap right now but won't be in like 10 years,
Right, what is
so
it?
it's like, so that's the thing I'm trying to think of is like, there's got to be different ways to do it, more interesting ways to do it than just, putting it on iTunes and being like, it's $10, or whatever. Like, so I'm just thinking of that way. I'm trying to think of it as like, it doesn't have to be, the goal of it is just for people to see me do stand-up.
Right.
So it's like, that's the goal. So
Right.
it's really more about creative ways that I'm kind of going through in my head that are like, what about this? What about this? What about this? And it's social media, like, is good and bad for some stuff. And, but if it's a lot of it's about how you get it out there, and how you release it. And if somebody catches it and it, becomes a thing, and all that. So it's hard to like sort of game the system, but you're like thinking that way, like what's the new.
Well, I think if you put it on YouTube, that's probably if you wanted to get it to access to the most people. If that's all was your concern, that would be the most people.
Yeah.
Because if we tweeted it and we talked about it on the podcast and people enjoyed it and they thought it was and they found out it was free, and most people, especially if you have Apple TV, you have YouTube built in.
Right, and then
you
you're
can
just
go and
watching it.
Just watch it on your TV.
Yeah.
I do that with a lot of shit now.
Yeah.
Smart. I think YouTube is for sure the easiest option because I think there's a giant percentage of people that watch YouTube videos on their phones. I bet it's probably more than half.
Yep. I think.
Is it, Jamie? Yeah.
I think most people just watch shit on their
A
phones.
lot
at
of
this
people,
point,
for sure. It's certainly a giant chunk,
Yeah.
whether it's 50 or more, 50% or more. You're dealing with a giant chunk of people that just would have access to your comedy on their phone.
Yep.
Almost any time.
And then it's a matter of like, do you break it up into like
right.
4-minute sections so people can like share it, or do you just put the whole hour out? There's like so
Well,
many different ways to like.
I think you should do both. I think you should have like the full version and put that out on your website or on your YouTube page, and then put chunks.
Yep.
So if people just want to watch the chunks, they can watch the chunks. Maybe they'll watch a chunk or two, and then they'll go, I got to see this
Watch
whole
the
thing.
whole thing,
And
yeah.
they watch the whole thing in its entirety, and they see where the chunks fit in.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, because if you just let people know, people want to see good comedy. You
Yeah.
let people know. And you can only, we can only crank out so much shit.
Yep.
So, there's a lot of people out there like, hey, yo, dude, I'm looking, fucking laugh. What do you
Yep.
got?
Yeah,
what do you
you're
got?
right. No, that's
watched
how I
all
feel.
the shit.
And I feel about it too is like it's better than anybody. Whenever you do anything, like you film something, whether you're in it, behind the camera, or put your name on something, you want it to be good. And I'm
Yeah.
always honest with myself. I'm like, that could have been better.
Right.
But this, I was like, I'm like proud of it.
That's
like I
good.
like it. Like I feel really good about it.
Of course, that's the one you can't get out.
Right. Joke being, it's the first time I'm like, boy, this is really something I stand behind. It's like, go fuck yourself.
Are you in a financial position that you have to sell it, or can you just put it on YouTube? Do you?
No, I can put it. I mean, I bought it back, and I could put it on YouTube and not sell it. The goal is for people to see it,
Right.
And I, it's not like it cost me like $14 million to
You
shoot.
can get YouTube ad money too.
Yeah.
You can get some ad money
if
it's
if
successful.
people start watching it. Yeah, YouTube is like actually clamped down on that now.
Have they?
Yeah, they're making it. There's a lot of like social media stuff that's sort of falling. The sort of like Wild West model
Are
of
you
like.
meaning the YouTube is clamped down on what the advertisers?
Yeah,
are?
like you have to have a certain amount. I was just reading about this. You have to have a certain amount of views to even be in the.
This is a world we talk in and deal in all the time. So
Yeah.
Jamie can explain to you the
Well,
whole.
right, there's a new
exact
thing
They
now.
just
of it.
changed it, yeah.
Yeah, they just
Yeah.
changed it, and that 1%. Like I was reading that, like only 1% now of people are on YouTube. Like the top 1%.
It's not that hard to get past their threshold right now. It's just like 1,000 hours of views, which if you have 1,000 views or something like that, you'll
didn't
get there.
realize
You
that.
wouldn't get. You'd get there within like a month.
Oh, okay.
It's not that hard.
That's good to know.
Or a couple weeks.
Yeah, I kind of knew where you were going with this.
Yeah,
It's just like head it off at the pass.
What I'm saying, but making money on it. They're saying most people.
It's much more difficult after that PewDiePie guy. That PewDiePie guy said a bunch of racist shit. It turned out he had a bunch of Nazi jokes. Then he called someone the N-word, and then boom, next thing you know, everybody's revenue dropped off like substantially. They
crazy.
got very tight on how revenue gets distributed and who gets what's safe for advertising, and even stuff that doesn't even make a whole lot of sense. Like things get demonetized. We get our podcast demonetized. It doesn't make any sense. It's like, okay, that one, like what was even said that was offensive? Like what is it that decides?
Wait, your podcast guy?
Oh, all the time. Different episodes get demonetized.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And
Wow.
we'll talk about controversial things. If we talk about controversial things, it almost always gets demonetized.
That's weird.
You criticize YouTube, it gets demonetized.
Well, they're strict about
Does.
Like it's amazing how quickly too. Like I'll put I think I was telling you this before. I put my best of nightly show reel from my on camera stuff from the nightly show on YouTube.
Yeah.
And because it's Comedy Central content, it instantly gets flagged. Within like 7 minutes, I get an email. It's like, this can't be accepted. So then I was like, oh, maybe it's because I labeled it like best of, and I put Comedy Central as a search word. So I just took out all the search words, and I was just like, best of Rory Albanese. I didn't say anything about what. Put it online. 10 minutes, get an email. This video has been flagged as Viacom content. It gets taken down. Like it's pretty remarkable how quickly that can happen.
Yeah, we do it all the time. That's
Yeah.
why we said we couldn't play that video earlier.
Right.
It happens every day.
That's
Things
unreal.
get flagged. Yeah, they have algorithms. I mean, they can just capture music and clips and stuff like that.
Yep.
They can capture music from a clip from a scene in a movie that they'll find. Like if you're playing a scene in a movie and like say Goodfellas and didn't we do that recently? Yeah. And what was the song? Was it Rolling Stones?
Layla.
Come Together by the Beatles.
Oh, Come Together. And they were like, "Fuck you, pay me." they went straight Ray Liotta.
Wait,
on us.
it may have been. That's funny. It may have been. If it was Come Together, it may have been a Bronx Tale.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, was it Bronx?
Because
Yeah,
that's
it was
the
the fight
yeah,
scene.
That's the
right.
scene where it's like,
That's
"Now's
right.
you can't leave." You
That's
know, and it's
right,
like,
a
"Come
Bronx
together."
Tale.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was. That's
Yeah.
right.
Because
Oh, what
Goodfellas
great
has a
scene.
great soundtrack,
That's
but
right.
it does not have Come Together in it.
Man.
But
Right now.
yeah, that's such a great scene. That he's like, "I'm going to ask you gentlemen to leave." You know, they get that.
Dude, have you seen that Beatles Cirque du Soleil show in Vegas?
No.
Ever seen that?
Nope.
It's called Love.
I've not seen it. Good.
Fucking amazing.
Yeah.
It's so, like, it's so interesting as comics. Like, most of the shows that we see are comedy. Like, I saw Book of Mormon. That was the last time I went to a play.
Yep.
Unless it was like for
Did
like
you see Hamilton?
one of my kids. Look at me.
Yeah, I don't
What
know.
do you think?
I thought you would have seen Hamilton. You're a cultured man. You're interested in all things.
I got shit to do,
Yeah,
man.
that's good.
Whatever that hour is, I got shit to do.
No, it's good.
I don't
That
know.
hour was
I
good.
literally know nothing about Hamilton.
Yeah.
I'm just joking.
Yeah, no, it's funny because I went into it like, what's the craze about? You know, I'm like, this is gonna be so overrated.
craze.
And then I watched. I was like, that was
really
good.
good.
Yeah, it was really good.
I love that
I
those
don't
art
love-
forms exist. You
I don't
know?
love Broadway plays. I'm not
No.
a big, but I thought Book of Mormon. I actually saw it twice.
I loved that.
and I thought it was. As funny as something could be.
Yeah, it was
I mean, it's a
genius.
fucking. Those dudes, by the way, Matt and Trey.
They're on another planet.
Like
They're from somewhere else.
You know what movie I watched that we're talking about, like movies that people don't talk about enough? That's so fucking perfect. Team America.
Oh my god.
That movie is like flawless.
It's one of the best movies ever for comedy.
Yeah, you can't even believe what they accomplished in that movie. Like they
Have
have
you ever
like,
seen the full uncut scenes where they had sex and dropped logs on each other
Yeah.
and pissed on each other?
Yes. And the way they start the movie, they told I saw them interview. They told a story about the opening scene of the movie is a really shitty marionette.
Yeah.
And then it widens out, and it's a marionette in France using a marionette, it's like that's the opening
Right.
sequence. So they said when they fucking screened it for the studio, that's why they did that. And it was like really shitty looking, and you heard all the executives like, "What the fuck did we spend all this money on?" You know, and it just reveals. Oh, there's the sex
Here's
scene.
the full unedited sex version. They did this like way over the top
Yeah, I
so that they
remember
could
this.
pull stuff back.
Yeah, it's
They just-
really funny.
Yeah. They just decided to do it this way, so that they could.
Yeah.
So they would have stuff to edit out.
Yeah,
like
and
they
for
do
the
it
DVD
69.
extras, look at
I
that,
mean,
dude.
This is fucking crazy.
Oh my god,
And I think apparently they
it's just puppets. Oh my god,
they're doing everything.
It's so
eating
funny.
ass.
yeah.
And they did this so that they could have like, well, you got to give us some of it. You
Yep,
know,
they
you
went
got to
over.
give us a little. They went so far over the line.
It's just every position.
Yeah, everything.
So
Look at
funny.
this. They went so far, so fucking crazy.
Yeah.
That, like he's peeing on her.
All over her face, her open eyes.
And then she drops a
She
log
takes that
on him.
shit on his head.
Oh my god, look at this.
And then they just keep going.
Oh my god, it's so stupid.
Oh my god,
She's
it's
giving
so
him head.
funny.
I mean, it just goes on forever.
Yeah.
But they did that so that they would have room for negotiation. That's how they worked.
Yeah, those guys are just geniuses, man. And that movie is like the whole concept of they need an actor.
Yes.
How important actors are.
And how bad his acting
Come
is.
on,
his,
Gary,
his
you're an actor,
face
you know?
With his fucking shitty makeup on.
Yeah, and it's like durka. And it's the Star Wars cantina scene. They're like, we're going to transmorgify you or transmorph you. And then like all that stuff happens to his face. It's like 20 minutes of like they make it like it's face off and then they just glued some fucking hair to his face. It's so funny. Yeah, there it is.
That is hilarious.
They paint him a little brown.
Look at him.
Durka.
Terrorist,
Come on, Gary, act your way in. Yeah. We need a Top Gun actor. That's what he says. He goes, you're a Top Gun actor.
It's too bad this took so long to make because he doesn't want to make another
They
one.
almost broke them, dude. Like, it just fucking...
I can only imagine
Yeah.
how much time it must take. This is so painstaking.
Painstaking.
I mean, are they moving each piece as it's happening and then filming it and doing it over and over and over
They're doing
again?
multiple camera angles, multiple... They're shot it like a movie. That's why it's so good. You know?
I need to watch it again.
Yeah,
I'm
it's-
forgetting this scene.
I'll tell you, this is him, and then it's basically the Star Wars cantina when he walks
Right.
in, and you know, and yeah, exactly. It's really funny.
Yeah.
But it is a movie that you could come home at like 2 a.m. and just be like, oh, I want to like kill an hour, smoke some
Right.
weed, and just throw it on. Like at any scene, it stopped at. You're
Oh,
just
and
like,
don't forget about the fucking South Park movie.
yes, you're
The
right.
South Park movie where
I don't know if that
Saddam
will hold
Hussein
up
is
as
getting
much.
gay with the devil.
With the devil, yeah.
Remember that? The
I
devil
wonder if that
pulls
will
his
hold
dick
up.
out, and his dick. Oh, fuck yeah, it'll
Think it
hold
will?
up. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I haven't watched that in a long
I
time.
guarantee that'll hold up.
South Park is still really funny.
Still hilarious.
Yep, it's really funny.
I mean, when it comes to overall content, it's one of the funniest shows, if not the funniest of all time.
Dude, they turn
Like, what
stuff
else?
around.
It's like Simpsons, them.
Family Guy is
Family
the other
Guy.
one people love, but
Yeah,
they
but
fucking rip on the Family Guy on
know they
South
do.
Park. Do you remember the one where they went into the writer's room of the Family Guy and it was 2 manatees in a tank? And if they drop a ball, they like drop a ball in a thing, and then it just a joke comes out.
So mean.
And it says like it's like old TV show reference, you know?
So mean. That's hilarious.
Yeah, they just broke his formula down. Yeah, it's funny though.
It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, I think Seth MacFarlane's funny. Like I thought those Ted movies are really funny.
I didn't see them.
Yeah,
I still haven't
you know
seen
they're
the
not
Ted
like they're
movies.
not.
I heard they're hilarious.
Yeah, they're not like flawless movies, but they're funny. Like
But
there's
it's what I'm
a couple
saying.
of scenes in them that are like so funny that the whole movie goes up like 10 points because there's a few scenes in there. Like there's a scene where Ted's telling him about the weed he bought, and he was like, and it's like I forget the exact dialogue, but it's like he's like, yeah, it's called like, he's like, I got some weed. It's called like, kill me now, please, you know? And he's like, why'd you get that? He's like, well, the only other options were please make it stop, make it stop. Like he's naming the weeds, and they're all like this like paranoia-fueled weed names, you know? It's really funny, you know?
Sort of like maybe the jizz in the hair scene in Something About Mary.
Yeah.
That it was so funny it took the whole movie.
Yeah,
up.
and then it's like you remembered
Yeah.
that, yeah. Because there's other stuff that's really funny in that movie that gets lost, like Chris Elliott having the best wife ever is really funny, but he's still in love with Mary. That's just like a joke that kind of, she's like, I made cookies, you want a blowjob? And he's like still in love with another woman. That's how amazing Mary is.
Yeah, man, there's just too many goddamn movies.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying about they're constantly making movies, but the movies don't go away. I heard this Annihilation movie is supposed to be amazing.
Is it?
I keep hearing good things. I haven't heard. Have
I haven't
you
seen
it?
I
I haven't heard shit from anybody I know though.
I haven't
just
seen
keep
Black
reading.
Panther yet either. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen that either. I haven't been to movies in a while.
I very rarely go out to the movies.
Annihilation is by the Ex Machina guy though.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That movie's
And
fantastic.
That's one of my all-time. If I had 20 all-time greats, that's in there.
It is?
Yeah,
All right.
that movie's in there, especially for me because I'm really obsessed with the idea of artificial intelligence
Yeah.
and where it can go, and like to see it in a form like that. I'm like, I'm buying this. I'm not necessarily buying this one-man operation. This one dude is a super genius, is programming everything and doing. I think it'd probably be a little bigger than that.
Sure.
I think especially the initial launch, you're gonna have teams and teams
But
of
he's,
people.
you know, he's like the Elon Musk of that. Like, you know, he's like the head of that.
I get it.
idea, yeah.
I'm willing to go in.
Yeah.
I'm willing to go in.
It's- you
It's the
could suspend
only-
your disbelief enough on it. you
That
know?
was it. It's
Yeah.
like the only part of the movie that I gotta go, okay, I just gotta assume this guy's the ultimate uber super genius. And it seems like we're looking at something in the future anyway. It seems like this is not current time.
Yeah.
It seemed like it was about 30 or 40 years in the future.
It had
or
that
something.
Black Mirror vibe to it of like it's a little bit it's
Yeah.
realistic, but it's a little bit in the future.
Right.
I find that with movies, what's so funny is what you're willing to suspend your disbelief about. I used to do a bit about this. It's like you'll go see like Spider-Man, you know what I mean? And like it's about a fucking dude who gets bit by a spider, and then like then there's a scene where like someone makes a cell phone call in a basement, it gets reception. I'm like, that, yeah, this is fucking unrealistic. You know, like the stupidest things. Like it'll be like a white cab driver in New York, and I'm like, come on,
Yeah,
you know,
with
like
a cigar out of the corner of his mouth.
Like they
and
did
a
that in
schoolboy
the
hat.
Kevin Spacey Superman movie. The one that like came and went very quickly. Kevin Spacey was Lex Luthor, and that other dude was Superman. Like I don't know
Kevin
if
Spacey
played
was
Lex Luthor. They
That's
released
right.
the Superman movie,
Oh, that's right.
and Amy Adams, I think,
Who was Superman? Who's the Superman?
like
Some dude?
some dude, and then
dude.
like it was like he's Superman, and then it was like he's not. Anyway, there he is.
That's the dude?
Yeah, his name's
He
like
looks like he could be
Brandon
Superman.
something, I believe.
Brandon. Hi, Brandon.
yeah, Brandon something. Brandon, that dude who was Superman, and yeah, he's
Kevin
like the
Spacey
George.
was Lex Luthor?
He's the George Lazenby of Superman.
Why did I not remember this at all?
Well, there's
Look
a
at this
scene-
Kevin Spacey with his head shaved.
Yeah, it's
Actually,
so
looks good
bad.
with his head shaved.
It's a bad movie, but there's a scene in that movie where Superman flies over like a like the Brooklyn Bridge, and an old, fat white guy with a cigar and a newsboy hat goes, "What the heck?" And I was like, "This is the worst movie I've ever seen." Literally, that happens in this movie.
That's hilarious.
He says, "What the heck was that?" I'm like, that
That's
guy hasn't
hilarious.
driven a cab in 40 years.
He was in Batman versus Superman too. Kevin
No.
Spacey.
No.
They just showed that clip. What was that image that you were just looking at with him with long hair? 5 new stills from Batman versus Superman released.
What?
Was he in that movie? I didn't see that movie, and I assume you didn't either,
I don't recall.
because I respect you.
Yeah, I watched it on iTunes when it like
Batman versus Superman.
Yeah,
How
and
bad was it?
it.
I think I just a bad picture.
It's pretty bad. Like, but
can't
then
be good.
the longer version of it, there's like some like the Wonder Woman's in it. She's all right, but it's really long, and there's like they redo the whole fucking Batman as a kid and the bats,
Right.
and he falls in the bat thing. I'm like, how many fucking times have we seen this kid fall in a bat cave? Like they have to like retell me how he became Batman, and the whole thing was his parents get shot, and
Right.
it's a flashback. I'm like, remember like, you know, Dance with the Devil in the Pale Moonlight or whatever. Like that shit was the Nicholson one, and then they did the one with Christian Bale, the origin story of Batman.
He's
all
Lex
the,
Luthor.
you know,
Jesse Eisenberg.
right?
was Lex
Eisenberg
Luthor.
is Les Luthor.
He's the new Lex Luthor?
Yeah.
He was in Batman vs Superman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in the new Batman universe or the Superman universe, I guess he's.
So
Lex.
who-
And
oh,
I heard
that's
Justice League
hilarious.
is just as bad.
Really?
Yeah,
Why are you breaking my heart, bro?
I don't know. DC can't do it.
What is out now, though? Isn't there like some sort of a superhero movie out now? Besides Black Panther? Is there something coming out now?
The new
Avengers?
That's the big Infinity with Civil
When's
War
that?
thing's coming out.
Oh, yeah,
This
yeah.
When's
summer.
that coming?
This summer.
As long as you let the Hulk
That's
freak
what
out.
they've been building up for all these 5 years of movies since the last Avengers have been building to this big story.
They got to get rid of that dude with the bow and arrow. Stop. That's all you got is
Jeremy-
a bow and arrow.
Jeremy Renner?
I love that guy,
Yeah.
but you got to give him a better superpower.
Yeah.
You can't have him just a regular dude with a shitty recurve.
Well,
Just shooting slow ass arrows. into-
Scarlett Johansson's just like a girl who was trained by Russians to kick ass. You know, like she doesn't
I'm
have
willing
any
to buy it.
superpowers.
She's hot.
Yeah,
Let's keep
but-
her on board. This guy's ridiculous, though. Get the fuck out of here, bro. Let
Yeah.
me see your form, first of all. Let me see what he looks like when he pulls back his bow. Do you think he does it right?
Yeah, probably.
Nope.
Nope.
He's got 3 arrows. Get the fuck out of here, bitch. Can't shoot 3 arrows at the same time. They'll all be slow as shit.
Oh yeah.
He's got some mystical bow. Doesn't make sense. It's too much power. So the power must all be in the projectiles.
Yeah, it's like a tech bow. You know,
It's so stupid.
It's all tech.
The whole thing is stupid because he's got like these missile tips on the end of this slow bullshit ass bow. That's a slow ass bow. Like
It's a slow ass.
Is it on the
It
wrong
is.
side?
Huh?
Is it on the
I
wrong
love it.
side?
No, he's on the right side because he's shooting. Where is his thing?
It's on the. He's pulling back with his
Oh,
left
yeah,
hand, and
right.
it's on the right.
Well, some people do that.
They
believe
do?
it or not. Yeah, if you learn it that way, you can do it that way.
That seems weird.
It does, but on a compound bow, you would definitely have it on the other side. But I've seen people do it that way. The thing is with a riser, like a one of these bow risers, a recurve bow riser, it's kind of a different thing because your arrow is making contact with the riser as well. There's like way less accuracy with one of those things,
Huh.
especially that traditional kind of a setup the way he has. Like if you look at archers in the Olympics, they have a bunch of different classes that they compete in. And when you have an arrow that has to brush up against the side of your bow like that, like those traditional old ones, those are the hardest to really develop real accuracy with.
Huh.
It requires a lot of feel, man. You got to really practice with that thing and know that you're pulling the bow back exactly the same distance every time. Because just if you pull it back an inch more, it'll have like a bunch more feet per second power.
Just
it'll
by-
go higher or lower if you don't pull it back far enough. Yeah. Yeah, he seems to be doing that in every picture. I'm sure they trained him, and I'm sure some people do it that way. And it looks like in some of these things, he's shooting left-handed. Okay, well then it's the right way. So he's shooting left-handed. That's why it's on the other side. But I felt like on the other side it was his right arm. Nope, it's his left arm. Okay, duh. That's why. How did I not notice that? Yeah, he's got his left arm up. So he's drawing back the bow with his left arm. That's why it's on the other side. But I have seen people, even people who are right-handed on a traditional bow, but maybe it was like one of those stick bows, not like a traditional bow like a...
But if you were pulling back with your right arm, it would still be on the outside of the bow, right?
If you were doing it with your right arm
But
and
wouldn't it
a
just be
compound
reversed
bow,
and
it's
then-
on the other side. So if I'm holding it with my left side, the arrow's going to be on the left side.
Right.
But I think on some traditional bows, and I'm talking out of my ass a little bit because I don't know too much about traditional bows, but I think there are some guys who put the arrow on the other side. And I think that was actually a part of that Lars Anderson's video. Where isn't that the guy's name? The guy was the crazy arrow expert, shoots all those arrows at the same time. I think that was one of the things that he was saying was to have it on this side. Yes, that's exactly what it was.
Wow.
He was saying to have it on that side because it makes it easier to put onto the string if he's grabbing the arrow and just throwing it on the string
quickly
rather
shooting.
than going over the top to the other side.
Right.
Yeah, that's what it was. Look at all these guys. They have it on the left-hand side. All these guys have it on the left-hand side.
So he's doing opposite, pull back with the right and going on the left.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So he's got it. That's how he has it. That's how most people have it. And this is like what he's got in his hands right here.
Yeah.
That was a Olympic target bow. So what he's doing is doing it instead of going around all the way around to the left. He's explaining how much wasted motion is in that.
Gotcha.
And so instead, he's saying you go to the same side, and he shows all these images of people with arrows to the same side. They all have it on the same side. And it makes sense. That would be so much easier and quicker to do it that way. Totally makes sense.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, completely makes sense. I think this for accuracy, I would have to talk to my friend John Dudley about this. He's a master archery instructor. I bet there's something to do with torque. But again, that's another thing. Like if you just shoot with the same bow, with the same weight arrows over and over and over again with that, it's sort of like you know how to throw a rock, like or a baseball. Perfect example. If you have a baseball and there's a tree that's like 30 feet away, 40 feet away, you know how far or how hard you have to throw the ball to hit that tree.
Right.
You know, you can actually like get pretty
You
close to a
calculate the
spot.
arc that you need.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can get pretty close to a spot in that tree, just throwing it. Well, it's because you've done it a bunch of times. If you played catch with a bunch of people, you kind of know what to do with a baseball.
Right.
Well, it's the same thing with a bow and arrow, especially that style of where you don't have a sight that you're looking through. You're just pulling back, and you kind of know where the arrow's going to go. You just kind of know because you do it a lot.
There's a feel.
Yeah, but you have to do it every time. You have to bring it back exactly the same spot on your face every time. Because if you go here, it's going to go different. It's going to go further. Or if you go in front of your face, you don't pull it back all the way, it's going to go shorter.
Right, but in some cases you want to be doing that. So you just have to know.
No, you never want to be having it with a different form. You always want to pull it back to the exact same spot.
So in
you
other
want
words,
to aim at different positions
So in other words, though, then the range of the bow is the same
every time.
every time.
Yeah, that's the only way you're ever going to
Oh,
understand
so it's not
where
like
it's going
you
to
can go if you really want to go.
Well, you
deep.
can lift it up, but you're just aiming at a different spot. But
Gotcha.
you always
But you
want to
wouldn't
pull
pull
it
back further.
No.
Okay.
You always want to pull it back to the exact same spot. It's called the compound bow. It's actually called the wall.
Okay.
There's a place where you can't pull it back any further. It just locks in place when the arrow's fully drawn, and then you just release it.
Yeah.
So
So release is hard. That's the thing. I think that's to like not have
Yeah.
it smack against your arm.
It's
you know?
just a form issue.
Yeah.
Once you learn how to do it with the right
like,
form.
to let go fast.
No, it's where you're standing. If you're standing like this, like totally sideways, the string is going to hit your arm. You're supposed to open up more. So you're drawing back like this.
Gotcha.
So there's space. So the arrow, it's very rarely does your forearm get hit by a string. It's super rare with someone who fires a bow a lot.
Knows how to do it.
Yeah, but like those old-timey dudes, I mean, they're just firing arrows in the middle of fucking war and shit, and that's why they have those big bands across their forearm to protect themselves from the strings.
Yeah.
And they had like crazy powerful bows that you got to be a beast to pull back. Like the Mongols, their bow was 160 pounds to pull back.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, those people must have been so powerful, man.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, and then just shooting these steel-tipped wooden arrows into people's bodies.
But with like a compound bow, like the one you use, you're pulling back
84 pounds.
84 pounds, but it feels like what, like 10?
It feels like 84 pounds until about right here. and the cams roll over, you know, they have these these cams that give you like this mechanical advantage. And as the cams pull over, boom, then it gives you like a big let off. Then the let off is probably somewhere around, I'd have to find out. It can be as high as like 85 to 90% let off though.
Wow.
So you're only holding like
It's a pulley system
20-ish,
basically. At some point,
exactly.
it, like just the pulley
Yeah.
does the work.
Yeah, and then it's about trying to achieve a surprise shot. Then everything, once you're at full draw and fully locked in and you have proper form and you're aiming at the target, then it's about you're using a release aid with a compound bow. It's not like you're letting go with your fingers like you would with a traditional bow. You have like a handle in your hand or on your wrist, and you get to a certain point and then you lock on it and then you just start pulling back with your finger touching the trigger. So you don't activate the trigger by pulling your finger. You put your finger on the trigger and you activate it with your back. So that you
Gotcha.
can't flinch. You can't like go, "Ah!"
Yeah.
You can't freaking fuck out.
It's like you keep pulling
Yeah.
and then it automatically releases the
Yeah.
trigger.
Well, there's a
Wow.
thing that we have called impact bracing. Like we brace for impact.
Of
That's
course.
why if you see somebody, like if they have a round in their gun and it's a blank, they go to hit it, or it's a dummy round where it doesn't go off, but you see them go like that as they pull the trigger, they have a bad trigger pull. And they have to, one of the things they do in training, like if you ever watch Tim Kennedy, this guy fought in the UFC, has a bunch of training video footage. He's a Navy SEAL, Ranger,
Yeah,
psychopath.
my
awesome
cousin
dude.
actually is like a huge. He's like a competitive shooter.
Yeah.
and he has like a crazy Instagram following, and he's like, you know, he can
Animals.
like quick draw.
Yeah.
and like all that stuff. I've watched tons of his stuff, and he's just like, he's a beast. You know, he's just like and he does like you know, he does
Those drills.
the drills. And
Yeah.
he does like stuff where like you're like carrying a body, and then like
Right.
pop, you know, like obstacle courses with guns and all that stuff. It's pretty amazing.
Google what was Kennedy's. I know he's a Ranger. I'm pretty sure. Find out what else he did. But he's got a bunch of videos of him shooting on the range. And he's actually active military again, which is crazy. Quit the UFC, went back into the military. When he's pulling, he's like, tish, 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 and then he goes click because he got a dummy round. And he's like,
But there's no
"Oh,
difference
There's
in-
no movement. There's no movement. And that's what he wants to train for.
Yeah.
Want to train for that perfect ability to execute, especially
100% of the time.
in a combat situation.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the other things they have are like those, you know, that movie thing where you're like, I guess you have that with a bow, but it's
I have
like-
that, yeah, the
right,
same
but you
thing,
can do
yeah.
it with guns, where it's
Simulated
like,
scenarios,
Yeah, and like
yeah.
you're like in a house, and a dude's got like a gun to a lady's
How do they
head.
do that? Do they have like a wall that they shoot against?
I think they have a wall they shoot against, and they just put like new
projection
paper,
on
new
the wall.
paper
Oh,
up,
okay.
You know, so it's like a target paper. I think is how it's done.
What's this, Jamie? Tim Kennedy's thing? Just go to his does a Wikipedia page just tell you what his credentials are? Go to his wiki. Go to all. Son of a bitch. What are you doing? Show me videos. He's hunting for Hitler right now.
Is he?
Tim Kennedy is.
Yeah.
He's on that show, Hunting for Hitler.
What is that? What are they?
There's
they're looking
a
for?
conspiracy theory that Hitler left and moved to South America. Let me see what it says there, Jamie.
Yeah, but even
Special
if he
Forces.
did, he'd be dead by now.
Isn't it like surmised on the side there? What does it say? There it goes. Sergeant First Class, Special Forces, Texas Army National Guard.
Jesus
Right? Well,
Christ.
yeah. He's a fucking
Both
animal.
Iraq and Afghanistan.
Yeah, he's an animal.
Yeah.
So 7 Special Forces group. He's a special dude, and he's a very inspirational guy. You like watch his YouTube. He's like every day, like doing rows and fucking crazy workout, and just
Awesome.
getting after it, and you're just like, woof.
Yeah.
You realize how lazy you are with so many people
God.
now. You've never
Well, I
been
realized that
exposed.
with you too, man. I watch your shit. I'm like,
Well, I realize it from them. That's why I
Lazy,
do it.
yeah.
That's what's made me
It's
so
so funny.
fucking psychopathic.
Yeah.
That and my goddamn dog. My dog loves, like, he was always scared of getting in the car. Now he jumps into the car because he knows if we get in the car, it means we're going to go run.
Mm-hmm.
So we drive down to the trail and he gets out. He's like, fuck yeah.
He loves it.
And he just takes off. So
Yep.
I have to keep up with him. So I'm getting this great workout at least 3 days a week.
So
just
how
doing
far are
that.
you running?
2 miles.
But off-road running, like the
Yeah,
trail
it's,
running.
it's ridiculous shit.
It's hard.
It's hard. Yeah. Today I did it with a different pair of shoes. I do it most of the time. I do it with those 5-finger barefoot
You
shoes.
do? You like
Yeah.
running those?
Yeah,
Did
but
you read that guy's book, the Barefoot Running book? The,
No, I did not, but I heard about it, and that was all I needed to know.
Yeah.
I'm one of
Yeah.
those people. I don't even bother
Yeah, and
researching it.
The way he like lands on it, he like lands on his
On your ball of your
ball
foot.
of your foot, right? Yeah.
Well, I got it from Mark Sisson. Mark Sisson, who's the author of The Primal Blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
Really interesting guy. He's basically said that shoes are like a cast. And that the problem with those 5-finger shoes is they had said a bunch of things that's going to prevent injuries. And they actually had a class action lawsuit against them because a bunch of people got hurt. It'll prevent injuries eventually. But if you go too hard initially, your feet are not in condition.
Right.
Dude, I was stunned how weak my feet are when I started doing and I've done martial arts like most of my life, so I've always been doing things barefoot. But I had bitch-ass feet, and I didn't realize it. I didn't realize it
Pussy
until
feet, they call that.
I started doing yoga. Yoga taught me how weak my feet were. Like, I would be in these positions, and my feet would give out before anything.
That's interesting.
I
Like
was
cramp
like,
up,
yeah,
or
they
just
would cramp up.
Yeah.
And also, I've basically had flat feet my whole life. Over the last year and a half of running with these barefoot shoes on, now I have an arch.
wow,
Dude, I didn't
you like
have an
molded
arch.
your foot into an
I
arched
think my
foot.
foot was just weak.
That's
I think
weird.
the whole structure was weak. And my legs were strong because my legs are used to lifting things, but they're always used to doing it with shoes on.
Right.
Now that I do all that hill running with, like, basically, it's the only thing that sucks is like sharp rocks. Like when you have to run over like little rocks.
'Cause
they
you
basically-
feel it. Yeah,
they're
they pierce it.
going right in your fucking foot.
But isn't the concept of that too is like you're running on the balls of your feet, but you're also sort of like falling forward, like you're
Yes.
using the momentum of gravity to carry you between
Yeah.
each.
Yeah.
So you're not doing as much impact.
Well, you change your stance
Right.
if you're running forward on the ball of your feet. Because if you're running backwards on the heels, you kind of like you're leaning back more. As you're going forward, you just have to change your gait.
Yep.
And you change it into a leaning forward gait. But it seems
It
so
took
much
a while
more
though.
natural.
It took a while to get it down though, right? Like
It's fucking hard, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially
Because it's not
just
the way
feels
you
weird.
normally run. I tried doing it.
Yeah.
Because that guy came on the Daily Show years ago and talked about it. And I tried doing it, but like after a while, you just start going. I don't know. It's just like it's like
gotta be
changing your
careful.
form. You're changing your form on something you're just so used to doing. It's hard to do that.
Right, but it's the only way to do it. It really is the only way to run. Those other ways are like the way that they developed for that thick-heeled running shoe way where you're landing on heel
Air
first.
Max or whatever.
It's terrible for your knees. Your knees aren't mechanically designed that way. And they think that's one of the reasons why a lot of people who wear those kind of shoes develop knee problems, whereas a lot of the people in that book, which are running completely on the ball of their foot,
Yep.
a lot of them are wearing like soles that they made out of tires, like strapped into some sort of a sandal.
Yeah, and they're running
on that.
like
Yeah.
those guys like run like hundreds of miles.
Yeah,
Like they're
like
in
crazy shit.
in the mountains. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, you develop a toughness on your feet for sure. Mine aren't there at all. Like, I'm a bitch. Like, on the way down especially, because I'm going down deep into this canyon and I'm running back up and out. And when I'm going, there's some ups at the end of it too, and it's almost like a bowl. But when I get to the sharp spots on the way down, it's hard because you feel like,
And you know it's coming too.
yeah. But I feel like if I just keep doing it, eventually my feet will toughen up. But for sure, they've gotten stronger.
Yeah.
They've gotten way stronger. They feel different. It sounds so stupid. I'm listening to myself. I know it sounds stupid. But when I'm walking around, my feet feel different. Like they're feeling the ground more.
Right.
Like they used to be just like, well, here's my
you've
feet, just walking
you've like
along.
activated muscles in them that you hadn't activated.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
It does.
It's like any other body part,
Which we don't think about it, though. When do you ever think about strengthening your feet?
Never. But it's like anytime you strengthen like a secondary muscle or something, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
that's why my posture was so bad.
Dude.
It was like, whatever. It's like there's always some other thing to work on.
It just makes me think, too, for like just physical movement. Like, how often do you need the power of your feet? Like, how often are you pushing off of something or lifting something up and using your feet? It's kind of amazing that we never take into consideration the actual strength of our feet.
Yeah. I worked out with this guy for a little while, and he showed me these like rubber balls that you can roll your feet on, like to engage the muscles.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And like, there were parts where like I would hit a part of my foot, and the pain was like, because it was just like a sore muscle from walking, and it's just like massaging it out, but like parts of your body that you're just not like engaging, and you just roll your foot on it, and then you find the places that need to be like rolled out, and fuck, man, like it hurts, like you're going between each toe and like that area here,
Yeah.
and it's like it's fucking painful because your feet are just doing what they're doing all day, and you're not really paying attention to
Not
them.
at all. You just
Yeah.
put them in the shoes and fuck it. Lace
Yeah.
them up and don't think about them. You only think about them when they're hurt. God damn it, I got an ingrown toenail. And then you get pissed off.
Yeah.
Fucking stupid feet.
Fucking feet always getting in my way.
People that carrying you around all day. You don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
It's crazy.
Yeah, well, but it's just apparently, according to Sisson, and it really makes sense, that your foot, the strength of your foot just atrophies if you just stuff it into a shoe because it has this hard surface where you're not really feeling the ground. There's all this cushioning, so your foot it's not like giving in the natural way of ball of the foot first, resist with the center of the foot and the arch, and then eventually drop down to the heel. It's not doing that.
No,
it's just
it's
getting
just like
this cushiony slop. Its sloppy ass foot is inside, it's barely
Sloppy ass
working.
foot, yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird when you think about it that way.
Yeah.
You know, because that's not how your foot was designed. Your foot was designed for a very specific method of moving around, and we just changed that. We're like, nah, fuck you, nature.
Well, I get like that sometimes with my hands. Like a lot of times I'll do stuff, and I'm like, I'm not going to put like work gloves on for this or whatever, because it's like, because there's a party that's like, yeah, maybe I'll get like a splinter, but like, aren't you supposed to get some splinter? Like, aren't you supposed to like have the ability to like just use your hands the way they came? You know,
For some things,
for
for
some
sure.
things, you know, it's good to. It's also like a dexterity thing. Like, it's good to be able to like get in somewhere and screw a nut on something, you know, that kind of stuff where it's like there's like a tactile. And I feel like if you don't do that kind of stuff with your hands, they get kind of the same thing. Like you lose your like dexterity and you lose your ability to like touch something that's rough and not go like, ow, you know.
Right. Have you ever like seen the hands of a really good carpenter?
Yeah.
I mean, those guys are just
And my uncle's got
grabbing
those hands.
shit
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah, his
moving
hands are like
shit,
fucking
sawing and
Yeah.
dunk, dunk, dunk. Everything is just
Yeah. Yep.
always
And
always using the hands.
the speed at which they can like pop
Oh,
up
yeah.
a thing and pop a nail in.
Oh,
you know.
yeah.
I actually got my
Yeah.
uncle for Christmas this year a magnetic wristband that you can put all your like screws and stuff on. You don't have to keep them in your mouth. And he just keeps sending me photos of him building stuff with like, this wristband full of like screws and like and nails. And he's like, I love these things. You know.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's so funny. You know, people who like actually are actively fixing things and doing things like.
Dude, I think we did like 3.5 hours.
Yeah, I don't know.
What time is it? Is it 4:15? This is a ridiculously long podcast.
Wow. Shit, it is 4:15.
So easy to do a podcast with you, Rory.
Yeah, dude, I love talking to you.
So
man.
much
It's
fun,
so funny.
man.
Yeah.
So fun.
I know.
So keep us posted on when your video is going to release, and we'd be happy to promote
would,
it.
that'd be
I'd be
huge
happy
for me,
to.
man.
I'll put it on Twitter and Instagram. We'll talk about it on the podcast.
Dude, that'd be huge for me.
Let everybody know. What's the name of it so you can look forward to it?
I haven't named it yet.
Oh,
I'm thinking
I like
about I'm thinking about calling it Free Hour.
That's a great name.
Can I plug a couple? Can I plug a couple gigs?
Yeah, for sure.
I'm going to be in Rhode Island the weekend of the 9th of March at Comedy Connection in Rhode Island, Providence, Rhode Island. That's really
the
good
Bank
club.
Vault joint.
Yeah, it's a really good club.
Yeah, that's
and then
a great
I'm at
club.
their other club, Cabot Comedy, that weekend in Massachusetts, Chicopee, Mass, on Sunday. And then I'm at Ho Chunk Casino in Wisconsin.
Oh, shit.
On the 21st, and then the 29th through the 31st of March, I'm at Comedy Works Denver.
The best.
So, the fucking best club ever. Yeah,
Oh,
and then I'm
one
in
of them.
Cohoes, New York in April, if anyone knows where that is.
Glorious. And website?
RoryAlbanese.com,
Twitter.
at Rory Albanese and everything. I just
Instagram.
got on Vero, by the way.
I
too.
just got in Vero, too, but I heard
Yeah.
we're not supposed to. Jamie says we might not be supposed to.
Really?
I don't know,
I'm
man. I
on
can't
it.
keep up. I don't have the fucking energy. I'll see you fuckers.
Thanks.
Bye. Thanks, Roy.